All right, what's up? I'm here. I'm just going to sit back and wait for you guys to show up. I should be up and running. I'll wait for some hellos to come in. Raw just ended a couple of minutes ago, and reviews aren't very good on the show so far. So let's see if this is working. Should be. You guys just let me know, and we'll start talking about Raw right off the bat here once I get some people in here. Looks like we've got... All right, we're up and running. There's myself. All right, what's up, guys? I'll wait for you guys to start rolling in. 50 or so of you watching so far, so I'm sure we'll get a few more soon. Hello, everybody. VKM equals retarded. Yeah, tonight there was definitely some evidence of that. Oh, you know what? I didn't even know Raw was in Nashville. So I got a comment, the crowd sucked tonight in Nashville. I wasn't even aware where Raw was. I was not even paying attention. I did watch the whole show, though. You see me, you hear me. Volume is good, right? Last time we had a volume issue, I had the setting way down here, but we look good now. So just let me know if it needs to go up or down. Otherwise, looks like we are off and running here. So what do you think the biggest news of Raw was? You know, Strowman coming back. We knew that he would because every time he gets nearly killed, he shows up like the next week. So it wasn't a big surprise that he came out and beat the piss out of Kane. I think the big news of the night was... what was advertised in my thumbnail there with Matt Hardy. So we'll talk about all of that. I'm just going to kind of chill out and just ramble a little bit here while we try to get some people in the chat here. Looks like a lot of people are starting to roll in. Oh, Knoxville? I thought it was in Nashville. Somebody said Nashville. I didn't know where Raw was. I wasn't even paying attention. You took a big fat Raw in your toilet? Yeah, tonight was not the greatest. Yeah, Broken Hardy, biggest thing, easy. You know, because, without that, think about what we would have had on the show. I mean, it would have sucked ass, wouldn't it? Jesus. Yeah, by the way, I tried to decorate for you guys this time because my configuration of my new condo is a little bit different. I don't have my nice, beautiful office that I had in my last place. So I tried to put some shit behind me. You know, my whole media shelf is actually quite big. It's just off to the side here so you can't see it. So I threw a couple belts in the background and hung up a shirt and... you know, a few things here or there just to make it look a little bit nicer for you guys. But, the weather is actually chilly today. Thanks for asking. It was a little bit cold and a little bit rainy. On Thanksgiving Day, it was 95 degrees. Today, it was a little cloudy, a little bit rainy, which it never rains. And when I say rain, I'm talking about sprinkling for 35 minutes. But still, it was a really good day to be off. I got a fire going in the fireplace right now. Chilling with a nice beer. As bad as Raw sucked, it didn't even bother me that much because I'm off and hanging out. What am I drinking? Doc Hogan. I'm drinking Stella. Tonight I'm taking it easy. Just a nice, easy drinking Stella. I like these beers when I'm just sipping. A lot of times when I do these live reviews, I'm drinking like IPAs and stronger stuff. But tonight, taking it easy, and I'll have a few of these. But cheers to everybody, and I hope some of you had some alcohol tonight considering how bad Raw was. Raw was AIDS, Jesus. Yes, I am still selling shirts. I got a few of them left. I think I just want to kind of liquidate them and get done with it. I did sell a bunch of them at first, but as many as I bought, I didn't sell as many as I was hoping for. So what I think I'm going to do eventually, once I just get motivated, I'm going to start selling these things dirt cheap, maybe just throwing them out $10. There's a few of you I would actually like to even send a free one to. Maybe some of my Patreon supporters. I've got to get more involved in my Patreon channel. I really don't pay much attention to it at all, and it's a shame because I know a lot of you are willing to donate, but I would like to do some more like Patreon exclusive content, maybe giving away some stuff, giving away some prizes, maybe giving you an exclusive video. So all that is something that I would like to do, provided I can find time to do it. But yeah, the t-shirts are for sale. There is a link in the description of this video. Actually, you can buy them right through my website. So unfortunately, I'm not on Pro Wrestling Tees or anything like that yet. Even though I think I have the correct amount of followers and everything to get on there, I haven't really contacted them, so maybe I should. What is the chair in the background? That chair, that WWE chair over my shoulder here, that is from King of the Ring, 1999. I went to that show in Greensboro, had, I forgot where it was, third or fourth row. I sat next to the guy, and I forget his name now. I want to say it's Vladimir or something, but if you go back to the early, like, 1980s WWE pay-per-views, all of the WrestleManias, there was a few guys that were, like, in the front row of every show, especially a lot of those Madison Square Garden shows. And one guy was kind of like a tan-skinned guy with short hair and glasses. and I forget his name, and I want to say it was Vladimir or something, I'm not sure, but I sat next to him during that pay-per-view, and I was so excited to talk to him because I had said to him, you know, what the hell's your deal? I see you at every pay-per-view that I've seen on TV. All the way from the beginning in the early 80s, you're there in the front row. Who are you related to? What's your deal? And he goes, nobody. I'm just a big fan, and I travel around. So it was really cool to sit next to him. But that's where that chair came from. I kept it, walked out with it that night, and it's the only chair I've ever gotten. And I went to a lot of pay-per-views back in the day, but that's the only time I took my chair. It's been a pain in the ass to move, too. I should try to unload it on eBay or Craigslist or something if anybody wants it. Hello, hello. A lot of more hellos. Good to see. Zombies in the crowd. Yeah, Nashville or Knoxville, wherever the fuck they were, was pretty quiet tonight. Yeah, I will. I'll let you guys know whenever I decide just to shove a bunch of T-shirts out there dirt cheap, because at this point I want to unload them, and next time I sell merchandise I want to go through a website. So yeah, I'll be getting rid of these dirt cheap here in the future just once I find time to set it up, let you guys buy them, and I have to have time to get them out in the mail to you, so you're not waiting around forever. But I got a busy life, man. Yeah, SC, when you come back to Wilmington, there's a shitload of breweries now. You will love it. Oh yeah, I'm aware of a few of the breweries in Wilmington. I was just there a year ago. As my cat takes a big fat shit in the litter box right now. I hope you guys can't hear that. I can smell it. Yeah, so I guess we're getting some comments on Raw now. Let's get into it. Let me just check the channel. I just want to see what our audience is right now and what we're looking at viewer-wise. 120 of you. Not horrible. Good enough. Good enough to start talking about Raw, I suppose. And I didn't do much advertising for this video either. In my last episode, I said that I might come up and do a live review if I was home, and it turns out that I am. Oh, God, now he's meowing. Anybody else have cats? Whose cats start going crazy after they take a shit? For some reason, mine, the minute he gets out, he's got to meow really loud. He's got to run around the apartment like a crazy person. I don't know what his problem is, but I can't do that after I take a shit. I don't know what the deal with cats is, but it's annoying. Yeah, the cat shit might have been a little bit better than Raw. That is true. Why don't I move to Florida? I almost did. I loved North Carolina, lived on the beaches there, had a great life, but still wanted to go warmer. As great as North Carolina was, and as hot as the summers were, and as fun as the summers were, it would still snow sometimes, and I didn't like that. So finally we decided, okay, let's pack up and just kind of next chapter in our life kind of thing. So I was thinking Florida because I've been down to Florida a lot. My grandparents lived there. A lot of people's grandparents lived there. And I would go down, and they lived in the same town that the Detroit Tigers played their spring training games in Lakeland, Florida. That's where they lived. So I would drive down there like every spring and watch the games and visit my grandparents, and eventually they passed away. But I did that for a long time, and I really liked being down there. And I liked both sides of the coast. I didn't really like Tampa so much, but I really liked, Fort Lauderdale and cities like that. And even if you went even further and went to Miami, which would have been crazy, but I definitely thought about it. But in the end, the West Coast was always intriguing to me, and it was always a fun place to come visit because I've been here a bunch. And San Diego, just settled on that. You can't get any better of a city than San Diego. Greatest weather in the country, bar none. Nobody even comes close. Not even Hawaii, because it rains all the time in Hawaii, and it never rains here. It is literally perfect, sunny, and 75, 350 days out of the year. And then 15 days we'll get some clouds, and we'll get some rain. It's pretty badass. So, Long Beach in the house. That's awesome. All right, so let's get into Raw now, before, since I'm just rambling here. What do you want to talk about first? Let me go to my Raw notes. I got microphones and everything in my way. I can't see my notes here. We'll get into the broken Matt Hardy stuff in a second. Why don't we start with, I guess, what we consider the biggest angle, and that is the Roman Reigns situation. He opened up the show, cut a promo with the IC title, claims he's going to be a fighting champion. Now, we remember when he was the United States champion, he wasn't that much of a fighting champion. So this time he vows to defend the title a lot. He's then interrupted by the Miz Taraj. Now, the Miz wasn't on Raw because after he got beat last week by Roman Reigns, he was talking shit on the ramp, and the Shield came out and kicked his ass, beat the piss out of him. So Miz is off TV this week. Bo and Kurt Axel are out there talking to Roman. They're joined by Elias, who comes out strumming the guitar. And I like this for Elias because he needs to be involved. I'd much rather see him involved with somebody like Roman than Apollo Crews. That was what I said in his feud with Apollo, with his feud with Jason Jordan, with everything else that Elias was doing. I was like, this is such a waste of him. To me, I think he's good. He deserves some sort of a rub or a push or work with some big-time talent and some big-time storylines. Give him some opportunities. Give him some matches. See how he does. And I think that's what tonight was all about. And he came out there and kind of took the place of The Miz, ended up challenging Roman Reigns for the Intercontinental title. Since Roman said he was going to be a fighting champion, Elias said, why don't you put the belt on the line? Roman agreed. I guess Kurt Angle somewhere in there made the match. And that was up, I think, in the top of the second hour. It wasn't even the main event. So Elias and Roman had a good match. I actually enjoyed it, and Elias put up a hell of a fight. Some people were talking title change. They thought that maybe Roman would drop the belt and give it to Elias. That would be a great push for him, a great rub. Oh, and before I get into that, I should mention the opening segment. Elias was out there before the match, and what was going on with Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel on the harmonicas, and they were singing with Elias. That was actually a really kind of good segment. I enjoyed it. But it definitely made me shake my head, and I tweeted that sometimes I just don't know what the fuck I'm watching on Monday Night Raw. I mean, if somebody was just channel surfing, I say this all the time, every time you see something goofy as hell on Raw, I just think of the fan, or I think of the person, the human being on their couch, whether they're a wrestling fan or not, channel surfing and coming across that and saying, what the fuck is this? And that's kind of the way I felt, but I enjoyed it, at the same time. But the match with Elias and Roman, like I said, was very good. And I think putting the belt on Elias wasn't something that they were going to do tonight. And a lot of fans were coming out right away on Twitter. Elias should win the belt tonight. This is a perfect opportunity because Dean Ambrose wasn't on Raw, so the Shield is not at full strength. They could have figured out a way for Roman to get screwed over or something. Maybe even The Miz return and show up there when he's not supposed to be there. There was a lot of things they could have done, but to me, it wouldn't have made any sense. And I know guys don't want to hear that when it comes to Roman Reigns. What do you mean? Roman putting over a young talent, it makes total sense. Not in this particular situation, it doesn't. Roman Reigns won that belt last week. If they wanted to make Elias the Intercontinental Champion, they would just have him wrestle The Miz and beat him. Or if they insisted that if they insisted that Elias defeat a babyface for the title to give him more heat, then you have somebody else other than Roman Reigns to be that 1 week transitional champion, because all of the rumors and all of the speculation point to Roman and Brock at Mania. For Roman to be a 1 week champion and dropping it, just like that to Elias before you even blink an eye, before his title reign even gets off the ground, isn't that good of a way to build him towards Brock? Now, if they can figure out a way in the future to put the belt on Elias, great. And Elias took it to Roman Reigns. That was a great match. And for those guys kind of having similar styles, they're about the same size, same look, same build, same, athletic ability, I would say. And Roman and Elias put on a pretty good match. I kind of thought their styles would clash a little bit because they're almost, I don't know, maybe too similar or something. But it turned out pretty good. Roman won with the spear at the end of it. And, I think it was a good outing for Elias in defeat. Even Roman kind of stood over him or kneeled over him after the win, and kind of looked at him, kind of shaking his head. Undertaker used to do that sometimes after somebody would take him to the limit. He'd kind of give him a look like, damn, that guy almost beat me. So, I thought the match was good, and I wasn't too disappointed that Elias didn't win. I want to see gold around that guy's waist in the future. I'm a huge Elias fan. You guys know that. So me defending him not winning tonight doesn't mean I don't like Elias. I think he's great. But in this particular situation, I don't think it would have made sense to put the Intercontinental title on him defeating Roman. What I think is going to wind up happening with Roman is that, they tried this once before because who was saying it? Was it The Miz? I think it was The Miz that was saying it. Brock Lesnar is the Universal Champion. He's sitting on his ass getting blowjobs from Sable. You got to have some belt being defended every week on Raw. Right now, for the past year, the Intercontinental title has been the belt on Raw. So what I kind of see Roman doing is maybe having a really healthy run with it. I mentioned last week the possibility of Roman and Brock title for title, or maybe the Hogan and Warrior WrestleMania 6 type of thing, and have them both be champions going into the match. And I can see that happening, especially if Roman Reigns is defending the title week in and week out, successfully defending it, going on a long run, and then eventually, maybe after the Royal Rumble, whether or not he wins the Royal Rumble or not, cuts a promo and says, look, I'm the champion of Raw. This is the #1 belt on Raw. The Universal title's in Canada or in somewhere, but this is the Raw belt. I'm defending this every single week. As far as I'm concerned, I'm the champion of Raw. And I think the champion of Raw deserves a bigger belt. And I want that big red one on your shoulder. And why don't you face me at WrestleMania for the belt, blah, blah, blah. And Roman can go off of that. I'm the fighting champion. I'm the one here week in and week out defending the belt. The Intercontinental title is become more important because I'm defending it every week and you're sitting at home. They can kind of go in that storyline direction. The Miz tried to do that, didn't he? Somebody did. You know, when they were talking about the Intercontinental title being the title of Raw, that's kind of the truth right now. So Roman, you know, holding that belt right now, I think makes a lot of sense and is not really the worst idea in the world. If they go in the predictable direction, he wins the Royal Rumble, beats Brock at Mania. Yeah, I know that that's not wonderful news. So hopefully they tweak that up, they play with it, they do something to where it's not so stupidly predictable the way it was with Triple H at WrestleMania 32. You know, if they can do something, or maybe even make the match good with Brock, just do something to where if Roman absolutely must come out of WrestleMania with the title, it's not the boring bullshit predictable finish that we were all expecting. So I guess it depends. That's looking way ahead. Let me go down to the chat here and see if I'm getting castrated for that. A lot of people are talking about, are they nearby, the cats? Rusev for Raw GM. I like that idea. Absolutely. Yes, behind me, or over here, the belts, it's the Winged Eagle title, replica, and the WCW television title. I have had that belt now. I think I got that in like 99, maybe even 98. I got it really early when belts first came out. So I've had that nearly 20 years now. And I can't remember when I got the Winged Eagle. It's the only belts I've ever had. I just, the television title was given to me. I didn't buy it, but the Winged Eagle title was, I purchased just because I love the belt. And I would love to get the Intercontinental title too. I don't know why I've never bought it. I kind of like collecting stuff like that, but I don't like to go overboard. I'm not a guy that needs to have every belt. I just want to have the ones that I like. And I'd like to have the original IC belt with the black strap. It's still one regret I have. I just wish Roman's belt, I wish it had the black strap. I know a lot of people like the white strap, and they don't understand what my problem is with it. And it's not really that I have a problem with it. I just prefer the black strap. I'm old school. What is going on with Rusev Day? Is Rusev taking over this stream? Yeah, I don't know what's going on behind me. Let me look at... Okay. You guys must be seeing the cats. I'm not... they're behind me, I guess, but that's pretty funny. So anyway, getting back to the Roman and Elias situation, I think the Intercontinental belt would look great on Elias one day, but with Roman potentially heading into Mania, like I said, I think his run could be pretty long. I don't see Roman dropping it really soon. He definitely could. WWE, they change their mind all the time. So Roman could easily drop it next month. He could drop it at the Christmas Day Raw. He could drop it at the Royal Rumble. He could drop it anywhere. So I'm not saying Roman is necessarily going to hold it until WrestleMania, but it feels like that might be in a storyline direction they want to go in, especially if they have somebody else penciled in to win the Royal Rumble other than Roman. They need to give Roman a reason to challenge for the title somehow. So if a SmackDown guy's going to win the Rumble, they got to give Roman, an in to Brock. And if he's the top champion on Raw, that kind of by default makes him the number one contender. As far as Matt Hardy goes, a lot of you guys want me to talk about Matt Hardy. Awkward silence. Well, sometimes I got to read, motherfucker, or take a sip of beer. This isn't a podcast. This is me shooting the shit with all of you. There's going to be a lot of awkward silences here or there. Hell, I've gotten up and taken pisses before in some of these. Will you shut up, please? This chat is glorious. Like I said, let's talk about Matt Hardy. Thank you, CPL Alpha Dorf. Good big fan of your videos. I should read some of these comments. There's a bunch of you in here. But I don't know, did I miss something? Is there some legal battle or court battle between WWE and TNA that I didn't know about? Matt Hardy tonight teased some pretty big stuff. What turned out to be a terrible match and a boring segment starting with a Bray Wyatt promo. Just rambling. I had no idea what he even said. It was just typical Bray Wyatt stuff. It's a shame. I mean, he's literally feels like a joke now. And it sucks. So he's out there just talking. And then Matt Hardy's music hits. He interrupts him, comes down. They end up having a one-on-one match. Bray Wyatt beats him clean with Sister Abigail. And then after the match, you knew something was up. As soon as they zoomed in on Matt, I'm like, holy shit, he's going to break. He's going to be broken. What other reason would they have? Matt Hardy's been doing nothing. Jeff Hardy's on the shelf. You know, if they're going to do like a camera angle on him like this, that means something. So I knew it right away. And as soon as, you know, he's sitting there in the corner after the loss, camera zooms in on him, Bray Wyatt's music shuts off, and the fans kind of naturally start chanting his name. And then he starts doing the delete thing with his hand, and, you know, and he starts freaking out a little bit, and here we go. This is it. I don't know if he's going to be Broken Hardy. I don't know if he's going to be Woken Hardy. I don't know if WWE has analyzed everything they can and cannot do. Maybe they've secretly worked something out with TNA, saying, look, dickheads, can we just throw some cash at you, and can you let us have this gimmick and stop being fuckwads? You know, or have they gotten their legal team to take a look at everything and saying, okay, it's legal to do delete, but it's illegal to do broken, so he's going to have to do woken, but he can still do the mannerisms, he can still do the accent, and all of that. It's legal to do that. So maybe there's some things they can do and some things they can't. And since Matt Hardy is sitting there making a lot of money, and with Jeff on the shelf, without broken Matt, what does regular Matt do? Not a damn thing. Not at this stage of his career, anyway. And if WWE ever wants to capitalize on that broken gimmick and how successful it was, they need to do it soon. Otherwise, fans are going to forget about it. It's been, a year or two now since all that was going on. So, you know, they should start doing something with it. So I'm really excited to see sorry. for a second there, I thought the stream had stopped. I'm really excited to see what WWE plans on doing with Matt Hardy. I think it's going to be exciting. So I guess we'll find out more next week, because remember when we first speculated about Matt Hardy becoming broken? What was one of the first guys we thought of that he could feud with? Bray Wyatt. And we got that match tonight, but it meant nothing because it was meaningless, and Matt is pretty much nothing as regular Matt without Jeff. And you know, maybe this is the start of it. Maybe this will all culminate, since Matt took a pretty harsh loss here on Raw. Maybe eventually when he becomes broken, he turns the tables and ends up beating Bray Wyatt back. Maybe we see Sister Abigail. Maybe it gets really nuts, you know, because don't forget, these are kind of parallel type of gimmicks, because back when Matt Hardy and Jeff were doing the Brother Nero segments and all those crazy deletion, what were they called? The Final Deletion, and all of those fucking movies that they were doing with TNA. And those skits, WWE tried to do the same thing with the Compound Brawl with New Day and Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family. And then they even did the House of Horrors match with Randy Orton. So, you know, to see these two come together, you know, and WWE taking some of Matt's ideas and taking some of the Wyatt family's ideas and putting them together, they could come up with, you know, some pretty entertaining things, hopefully. TNA needs to throw in the white flag. I think you mean wave the white flag, throw in the towel. But yeah, I agree. I mean, it's silly. I've said that from the beginning. And like I said, don't take what I'm saying here as news. I have no idea what's going on. But I've said this before about TNA. It makes no sense for them to fight the WWE on this. This is a company that is struggling financially. They're hanging on by a thread. Every day you think they're going to die, they somehow hang on and live to fight another day. It doesn't benefit them at all to fight the WWE on this, especially when WWE is probably willing to financially compensate them for whatever gimmicks and rights that they give or allow WWE to use. And with a company like that in such financial turmoil, and wrestlers aren't getting paid, and what was the story I heard recently about wrestlers having to pay for their own parking at the arena? Are you fucking kidding me? You know, take the money. You know, it doesn't help you at all to hold on to this stuff. You know, let the WWE and Matt Hardy use it. They'll give you some cash. It will get even more over, and then TNA can take all of the previous broken Matt Hardy stuff and release a DVD on it and make another fucking few $1 million. So I don't know what in the hell their deal is, but hopefully it would they'll wise up, and maybe something has gone on behind the scenes that we don't know about. No wrestling sites that I have seen have reported anything on this, but I don't look very closely at it. You guys might know better than me. But I'm curious, you know, what it's going to lead to and what we're going to see next week, and if it's going to be good or if WWE is going to make it suck. Because there's a big possibility of that. You know, this broken gimmick is almost too goofy to fathom. I didn't like it when I first saw it because I thought it was retarded. And then once you kind of got it, you're like, oh, okay, this is actually brilliant stuff. So WWE's got to be careful how they handle it, and if they do it in their WWE way and they overproduce the hell out of it, it has the potential to suck. So fingers crossed on that one. See what you guys are saying in the chat here. Let's go over to Twitter, see if anybody's on there tweeting me anything. A few, not really. No questions, really. Another question about the beer, Stella, on Twitter. Oh, Mike Stir, I would love to join you, but I've got school. Understood, man. Stay in school, kids. Here in California, it's only 8:41 at night. So the one good thing about... sorry, my phone's buzzing like crazy. The one good thing about being here on the West Coast is the time. You know, Raw ends at 8 o'clock, and you got your whole night ahead of you. It's quite nice. So I'm not staying up late to do these. And I'm sorry for interrupting, but this is a work text again. I'm going to get these. My first couple of streams, I didn't get anything like important, but I got to check this one. Okay, we're good. Place is not on fire, and I don't have to leave. I can hang out here with you guys. So, what's y'all's opinion on the broken stuff? What do you think? I'm going to kind of read through here and see if you guys are throwing any information at me. Thug Yoda Entertainment, Greg, what if Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy feud, what's next for Bray? He should just go back to SmackDown? Yeah, I don't think he should have ever left SmackDown. Made no sense for him to leave SmackDown. Didn't he leave before he even finished up his feud with Randy Orton? How stupid was that? And then he had to go back and it was like an interpromotional match at the House of Horrors, wasn't it? Am I remembering that correctly? So stupid. Yeah, Brandon Rogue in the live chat, if they were to take this Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt angle and push this to WrestleMania, fuck yeah. That's what they need to do. I wouldn't care who won, who lost, that at all. They could do some sort of a fun gimmick match. If they could really stretch this out and make it good, don't go too quick with it. Give us a little bit at a time. Give us the type of segments that leave us wanting more, not leave us scratching our heads or saying, oh shit, that was goofy as hell. You know, just kind of give us, you know, little instances of brilliance, you know, from both sides. I think it can be a lot of fun, and they can stretch it out. I mean, WrestleMania is in April, late March. I don't even know the date on it. But we're looking at 4 months now until WrestleMania. So it's creeping up. Damn. Seems like WrestleMania was just yesterday. It's coming up on the next one now. Man, kids, I'll tell you, you know, if you're in your early 20s or younger, you know, the years go on forever. But when you become my age, you blink and another year's gone by. It is creepy as hell. Yeah, that's not a big deal, though. CPL Alpha Dorf. Roman Reigns said that the IC title will stay prestigious, with him holding it, yet he carries it behind his shoulder. I've always been an old school guy like you, obviously. I've always preferred it when guys wore the belt, when guys had respect for it. But at the same time, you know, if somebody wants to carry it or whatever, it's not the worst thing in the world. A lot of great champions have carried that belt. One comes to mind, you know, probably the only guy that rivals Hulk Hogan, and that is Stone Cold Steve Austin. The Rock carried the title. The Rock. Stone Cold and The Rock. If you don't respect Reigns for carrying the belt like that, then you don't respect The Rock or Stone Cold either. Bubba Ray Dudley used to wear it around his fucking neck when he was the tag team champion. Diesel carried the belt. A lot of guys carried the belt. Only a few wore it. Hogan wore it. Savage wore it. Brett wore it. Shawn wore it. Of the modern era, you know, Triple H wore it. You know, a lot of people don't like Triple H, but he wore that belt every time. He never carried it. So, you know, there's a lot of guys that the internet fans like and dislike that have both worn and carried the belt. So I don't think that's a fair thing to attack Roman over. That's meaningless. And I kind of like it when he carries it on his back. It's just something a little different, you know. But if I had my choice, I would prefer people wear it, because if I was a wrestler, that's what I would do. I would wear it. You know, Kevin Owens never wore it, did he? You know, everybody loves him. DM23, your first WrestleMania was in 2000, and that feels like yesterday. Yep, it feels like yesterday for me too. And as a matter of fact, I just talked to my buddy. Did I ever tell you guys the story of that WrestleMania? In 2000, that was WrestleMania 16. They offered this extra tier to WrestleMania if you bought it on pay-per-view, and you could pay... I think the pay-per-view was like $39.99. You could pay like $59 or $69, I think. Whatever the hell it was, I did it. And you can get like an all-day pre-show. Really early precursor to what we see now with WrestleMania starting at like 8 o'clock in the morning. They start doing shit on the network. And they basically chronicled, it was Michael Cole and Ivory, they chronicled all previous 15 WrestleManias. one at a time throughout the day. They started at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was like an 8-hour long event. And then you went into Sunday Night Heat, and then you went into WrestleMania. So it was like a 12-day or 12-hour affair, and it was called WrestleMania All Day Long. And I bought it, and I taped it. And unfortunately, when I dubbed all of my VHS tapes, took all of my VHS tapes, put them to DVDs, uploaded them to my computer, I left out that, and I never copied it. So I called my buddy. He still got my tapes stashed in North Carolina, this fucking tool shed full to the ceiling with tapes. And I'm like, if you can dig that out and send it to me, I would really appreciate it. And he said he's going to do it. Talked to him last week, so I can't wait to see that again. But anyway, that's just a little yeah, and it was in Anaheim, right up the road, an arena that I take the coaster here. You can take a train right up the coast, right along the beach. Takes you right up there to Anaheim, drops you off right at the pond, right in front at a bar across the street from the arena. So it would be so easy for me to make the trip up there and go to a pay-per-view next time they are in Anaheim. Yeah, Chaz Medeiros, I just told that story. I am going to be getting it back. I can't wait. But anyway, nice little kind of memory there on WrestleMania 2000. Where did we leave off on Raw? What have we talked about so far? We've talked about Roman Reigns and Elias and all that stuff. And, oh, I'm sorry. I left out a big... Damn, I'm sorry. I left out a big part of the Roman Reigns situation there. Let's backtrack. After Roman Reigns defeats Elias, he's leaving, going up the ramp. He's attacked by Samoa Joe. So all of that talk that I was speculating on Roman Reigns going on that long run, he might drop the belt to Samoa Joe. We have no idea. I'd be fine with Samoa Joe holding the Intercontinental title as well. So Samoa Joe earlier on in the night had a match with Titus O'Neil, a really hard-hitting match too. Titus looked angry. He was actually beating the hell out of Samoa Joe pretty good. They were beating the hell out of each other. Eventually, Samoa Joe got Titus O'Neil in the Coquina Clutch, and he tapped out, and then he beat up Apollo Crews after the match as well. So Joe beat the crap out of both of those guys. After Roman's victory, Joe shows up on the ramp, attacks Roman Reigns, puts him in the Coquina Clutch, chokes him out on the ramp, and that's kind of cool because that's going to be a pretty fun Intercontinental title feud. It could lead to Roman retaining and going on to Mania, like I said, and Joe just being one opponent along the way in his long title run, or he could drop it to Joe. I would be fine with either scenario there. If they want to keep the belt on Roman, build the IC title, have him hold it until WrestleMania, I'm not going to complain about that because I don't think that does the Intercontinental title any harm. But what would also not do the Intercontinental title any harm is for Roman to drop it to Joe. But Joe holds a couple of victories over Roman already on Raw. Might be time for him to get that win back. I don't know. Could go either way on that. Sorry for not mentioning that earlier on. That's what happens in these live streams. If I was doing this as a podcast, I would have realized that. And when I edited it, I would have gone in and put some Samoa Joe comments at the end of that. So, you know, it's kind of hard when I'm reading all this different stuff. Still getting used to the whole live stream thing, but it is fun. I really enjoy hanging out with you guys and chatting. And it's working because I'm getting good views on these streams, and I'm getting a lot of new subscribers when I do these streams. So my Social Blade stats are decent. You know, getting good chunks of subscribers in daily, and a lot of that is due to the live streams. So I think it's going to be a really good idea, and I think I might even stick to the format of doing pay-per-view reviews as live streams. After every pay-per-view, just coming up and doing it live, and that'll be an actual episode. So that can be kind of integrated into my podcasts, and then I'll still come up like I always do every week. So I'm enjoying it. Yeah, Warren Mapp, I was giving Booker T some shit tonight, too. Booker, man, he is, bless his heart. I don't want to, I love Booker. Like, I really don't have any problem with him, you know, because I think he's a legend, and he's one of my favorite wrestlers ever. And even when he's on commentary, he's only lovably annoying. He doesn't anger me. He doesn't make me mad. He doesn't make me want to bang my head on the desk. You know, he's just, it's just like, when I hear him, I'm like, oh, Booker T. Like, he says the dumbest shit sometimes. And the funny thing is the commentators, they call him out on it. Michael Cole and Corey Graves are always up his ass about shit that he's saying. So I don't know why he's got this spot. Vince must like him. Maybe it's a rib. The way everything's so overdone and overproduced, especially on that side of it. I can't imagine them putting Booker T out there just for their own amusement. That seems like something that they would have done back in the day. But Booker T, he's not Art Donovan level or anything like that, but he's, sometimes he just starts talking and you're like, Booker, shut up. There's two other guys out there. If you can't think of something to say, they can say it, instead of you just rambling, much like I'm doing right now. Yeah, and exactly, I agree with you guys. One Good West, I like Booker T as well. I'm not shitting on him. Well, I mean, I kind of am. I'm shitting on him in a lovable way, not in a hateful way. Sometimes I really like Stephanie McMahon. I fucking hate her. I don't want to see her face again if it was up to me. But Booker T, that's a whole different story. How can you hate Booker T? You can't. He's impossible to hate. But on commentary, man, aside from a few just funny things that he says completely unintentionally, sometimes he doesn't even know how funny he is. But, aside from that, most of the time I'm just like, what the fuck is he talking about? Brandon Rogue, do I think they debuted too many women at once last week? I was surprised that they all came in one day after the other. The only thing I can think of is because it was Survivor Series weekend. I think whenever you do something major like that, if you do it for a Big Four post pay-per-view Raw, then it's okay because these are big Raws and big SmackDowns. They want to spark good ratings. We always see big debuts on Raw and SmackDown after WrestleMania as well. So I'm okay with it. If this would have happened in the middle of July, in between pay-per-views, then I would have been like, what the fuck? Spread them out, do them one at a time. Have Paige bring out Mandy Rose one week and then bring out DeVille the next. Same thing on SmackDown, maybe one at a time, week by week. And speaking of that, why don't we talk about that next? Because Paige and company had some action tonight. What did they do? Oh yeah, that's right. I think it was supposed to be a 6-man or 6-woman match. It was supposed to be Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Mickie James taking on Paige and Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Sasha comes out first, and I think it's Mickey's music hits first, I believe, and she's not coming out, and Sasha's kind of standing there like, okay, and then Bayley's music hits. So you knew right away. This is the thing. These fucking angles have been done so many goddamn times. You see it coming before it happens. The minute that Mickie didn't come skipping out from behind the curtain within seconds of her entrance music's playing, I said to myself, she was attacked backstage. And they're going to go to the Titantron and show it. And so they go through all that with her music. Then they go to Bayley's music. She doesn't come out either. Then Paige comes out along with her girls. She cuts a promo. They surround Sasha in the ring. They show footage on the Titantron, of course, of Bayley and Mickie James being taken out. Their ankles and knees or necks or whatever the fuck was hurting. And then they tell Sasha that she should join the group. She refuses, starts attacking them, but the numbers game catches up pretty quickly. They beat the hell out of Sasha Banks and kick her ass, leaving her laying. So they're kind of doing a Shield gimmick, the way they're kind of jumping up on the ring in the corners like that. And they weren't done because Asuka literally defeated Brooke in like 4 seconds or something like that. Dana Brooke got beat. The funniest part about that is she was cutting a promo. They did a pre-tape promo before the match, and she's like, girl, I'm going to beat you so fast, and you're a slow starter, and you're not even going to know what hit you when I come out there. And her promos are god-awful. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, Jesus. So she comes out there, and, quicker than Bushwhacker Butch was eliminated from the Royal Rumble, she is tapping out. She dives right into Asuka. Asuka rolls her up, gets her in the Asuka lock or whatever the hell it is, and taps her out immediately. And then when Asuka is celebrating in the ring, Paige and the Entourage come out. And by the way, this Entourage has a name. They're called Absolution. That's what she said in her promo before they beat the hell out of Sasha. They're calling themselves Absolution. It immediately made me think of Evolution. But they're kind of like the Shield, sort of. And so now they're out there surrounding the ring on Asuka, which I like because Asuka has kind of been untouchable. She's a badass, and now this happening to her, it's like, wow, is Asuka going to get to beat the hell out of all three of them? And they get up on the ring apron, but they don't attack. They allow Asuka room to back away and leave. Nobody was blocking the entranceway, so Asuka just kind of tiptoed back, smiled at everybody, didn't really back down, but walked away. They never even jumped in to attack her. So eventually, that's coming, but I guess basically the three of them are trying to go around and, show everybody how badass they are. So very Shieldish, very NWO-ish or whatever you want to call it. But they're called Absolution. I don't know how I feel about that name. I'm glad it's not a porn site. What was it? The sister sorority or submission sorority turned out to be a porn site. That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So I was hoping that Absolution was some really, really kinky porn site, but it's not. Did Asuka set a record? I don't know. You guys might tell me. I would assume that she would, because you can't have, there's so little room for movement there. I mean, the minute Dana Brooke got in the ring, she was rolled up and put in that submission and tapped out right away. It wasn't even like a long drawn out thing. So that would have been just as quick as if she got rolled up and pinned 1, 2, 3. We see a lot of those matches. Put this match with Dana Brooke side by side. What pay-per-view was it? I think it was, it was Survivor Series 1998 when The Rock won the title. I think it was like one of his matches he had to wrestle the Boss Man, and he rolled up Boss Man and pinned him, and the minute Boss Man got in the ring. So check that match, put them side by side, see which one was quicker. But I would assume that has to be some sort of a record for sure. Hitman game, though. I don't know what that means. What if NXT is doing an invasion angle? Maybe. I don't know. Would they do that right now? End of the year? That might be more of a WrestleMania type of thing, or maybe a bigger pay-per-view. I don't know if NXT really doing an invasion. I did read something to where Paige might be the one that's kind of set up all of these debuts, even the ones on SmackDown. Paige might have manipulated this whole thing, so she might be the mastermind behind all of these NXT call-ups, in storyline anyway, according to some of the reports I read. That's true. I just mentioned Stephanie a minute ago. There was no Stephanie McMahon on Raw. So as bad as the show kind of sucked, at least we didn't have her ass. We didn't even have Kurt Angle out there much. He was only out there, or he did some backstage segments. I don't even think he was out in the ring at any time, if memory serves. Let's get back to Raw, by the way, since we're just talking here. Where do we leave off? Talking about Samoa Joe. We talked about Bray Wyatt, Broken Hardy, Roman Reigns, and Samoa Joe, and the IC title run. What about the rest of the Shield? Seth, Rollins, and Cesaro had a really good match, was it not? I thought it was a really good match. It went through like 2 commercial breaks, too. Just really good work by both guys. What's up with the Burn It Down part of Seth Rollins' theme music? It's gone. Did you guys notice that? So that when he came out, the Burn It Down part was taken out. So I don't know why it's taken out. I'm just going over here to YouTube, by the way, to see what we're looking at here. Oh, we got a pretty low audience. Only 150 of you. Guys, go to Twitter. Get some more people watching here. But yeah, the match between Cesaro and Rollins I thought was excellent. And it went on a while, and it was fun to watch. And then the ending was great. I love the finish because it all was executed really well. I think Cesaro was doing a springboard off the second rope. Seth caught him with a really good super kick, and then immediately went right into his knee finisher, whatever he calls it, and got the pin. So really good match between those two guys. And it was funny. I even tweeted out that I was just kind of kicking back and casually watching it, barely paying attention to it, but at the same time watching it, I was actually prepping for this commentary. And then I said to myself, I'm like, isn't it funny that I'm just kind of casually, with not much interest, watching a match that, if these two guys book properly, they have the talent to main event any Big Four pay-per-view that there is. I mean, they could main event WrestleMania, if pushed, marketed properly. Fans, Seth's already been on top. Fans have been screaming, fans have been screaming for Cesaro to be on top forever. And these two guys can go. It was a fun match, and I thought both guys did well. So that was a nice treat. Dean Ambrose and Sheamus were both off the show. The story with Sheamus is that he's off in Ireland on vacation or some shit, and then Dean Ambrose, they reported, was on his honeymoon. Now, him and Renee Young, I think, were married a while back quietly, I believe in Vegas. So they're just now getting around to their honeymoon. So the Shield was not at full strength tonight, and I tweeted out that I thought it would be funny if after the match, Renee Young came out and interviewed the winner, because then you're like, what the hell is Dean Ambrose not doing on the show then? But I was almost right, because Charlie Caruso came out and interviewed Seth Rollins after the match, and he talked about Sheamus not being there and Dean Ambrose not being there, and said that that he's going to invoke him and Dean Ambrose rematch clause for the tag team titles next week. So on Raw, we're getting a tag match, The Bar versus The Shield, and I would not be surprised at all. WWE wants to do this. You guys know that, right? They got to have the Shield decorated in gold. So I think maybe the sole purpose originally to put the belts on Cesaro and Sheamus was because they would rather have them face the Usos at Survivor Series. Because the Usos, they wanted the Usos to go over that match in that match, maybe for the score of Raw and SmackDown, and they also didn't want to give the Shield a loss at that time, so they did the funny finish where they dropped the belt, and put Cesaro and Sheamus in the match with the Usos instead. Now that that's over, give it back to Seth and Dean. Roman's the IC champ, and now you got the Shield holding on to some gold, Hart Foundation 97 style. Remember, like, Bret had the world title, Owen had the IC title. Or no, they never held that together, actually. Won and lost it on the same night, which is kind of interesting. Oh, no, yeah, they were. I'm sorry. And at one time, Owen and Bulldog were also tag team champions. I think Owen was a double champion at that time. I think Bret didn't have a title. Owen and Bulldog were tag champs. Then Owen won the Intercontinental belt, and then Bret would go on to win the world title at SummerSlam. So kind of reminds me of that, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see a title change next week on Raw, because we have a long time before pay-per-view here. So I keep thinking they want to book some big stuff for Christmas, that big Christmas Day Raw that's going to be live. So maybe, I thought maybe they would save this match for then, but we're getting it next week, and they put the belts back on Seth and Dean. I wouldn't be surprised at all, because that's going to be a good-looking shot of the Shield all holding titles at the same time. And you guys can refresh my memory, because I don't remember. The previous incarnation of the Shield back in 2012 and 13 and all of that, it was Roman and Seth that were the tag champs, and Dean was the singles, right? He had the U.S. title. Now, did they hold those belts together? I believe they did, because Dean had a long run with the U.S. belt. But was Dean U.S. champ at the same time that Seth and Roman were tag champs? I think they were, so this would be a nice recreation of that. But I honestly don't remember. The only thing I really remember about Roman and Seth's tag run was the great match they had with the Rhodes brothers, on Raw, where Cody and Dustin won the belts. That was a great match. That's one of my only vivid memories of modern day Monday Night Raws, because now they all blend together. It's all the same shit every week. But I really remember particularly liking that match. Yeah, you guys are confirming about the tag team title and the U.S. belt back in the day with the Shield. So yeah, Seth and Cesaro put on a great match this week, and next week we're getting the tag team title match between the two teams, and wouldn't be surprised at all if the Shield gets some gold back, and that's going to be quite the sight to see. What else do we see on Raw? Talked about that. Aside from the main event, the only thing we saw was a fatal four-way match with the Cruiserweights. Now, Kurt Angle backstage earlier on set up two different four-way matches. The winners of those two matches are going to face each other, and then the winner of that match will be the new number one contender for Enzo's title. Now, that's a match that could take place on that Christmas Raw. Otherwise, you got to stretch this out until the Royal Rumble, or they're just going to give it to us on a random Raw or 205 Live. This week, it was Noam Dar, Akira Tozawa, Daivari, and Rich Swann. Rich Swann won that match. Next week, we're going to have another match between four other guys, and Swann will take on the winner of that. The winner of that becomes the number one contender. So, I don't know who that person's going to be, unless they debut Hideo Itami, maybe as a surprise in the four-way match next week, and he wins, and then he beats Swann, and then he goes on to face Enzo. But I think baby steps with Hideo Itami. Kenta's run in WWE has not been, it has not been that memorable. So he needs to, I think, start out slow and just kind of build himself, win a few matches, get the fans used to him, make sure he's not going to get hurt. And unfortunately, WWE can't slow things down. They got to go so over the top with everything. I'm worried the minute they bring Itami in, they're going to push him right to the top without taking their time or building any sort of storyline with him. So who knows what they're going to do. Probably a time-killing feud for Enzo. I think no matter who they have, unless they have somebody return, unless they have Neville come back or they have Hideo Itami debut, I think whoever winds up winning and becoming the new number one contender should lose to Enzo. I think he should continue his run for a little while longer. Thank you, Noah Jasic. Give this stream a like. And how are my likes? I'm not doing that well this week. Not that I care. It's okay. You guys didn't even know I was doing this. But thought I would have some better numbers this week. But yeah, it just looks like a few of you. That just goes to show that Raw was probably not that good. I mean, hell, a lot of people aren't even interested in going in and watching reviews right now because the show was just kind of like, so-so. Why don't we talk about the main event now? That pretty much wraps it up for everything. I'm just going to kind of scroll through the rest of my notes here, make sure I didn't forget anything. Aside from a backstage segment or something, I don't think I'm really missing any big news here. And I'll talk about some other news later on, too. I'll get into Starrcade. And I did watch the Kevin Owens 365 documentary on the WWE Network. That was good. I'll talk a little bit about that here in a minute, too. But as far as the main event goes, it was Kane versus Jason Jordan. Jason Jordan was going to have a match with Kane. Kurt Angle asked him if he was okay and his knee was okay, and he said yes. Unfortunately, this is when I was really starting to prepare for the stream, getting everything ready, so I wasn't totally watching Kane versus Jordan. All I know is Jordan got hurt. Referee called for the bell or something like that, right? And he couldn't continue or whatever the case was. And then Finn Balor came out to kind of take his place, accept the challenge of Kane, and the two of them had a match. And Kane wound up getting DQ'd in that, just bashing Balor with a chair. And then goes on to start assaulting Balor some more, kicking the shit out of him. And you knew the way they were building up everything. The show opened with a vignette of what went on between Strowman and Kane last week. And we've seen Strowman come back from car accidents before and being locked in dump trucks. I didn't think a little chair to the throat was going to keep Braun Strowman out for more than a week. So eventually, right when Finn Balor's about to get killed, Braun Strowman's music hits. He comes out and he beats the shit out of Kane. Holy crap. So just annihilates Kane. Kane can't believe it. I kind of thought they were about to write Kane off TV here. I'm like, maybe Strowman's just gonna bash his face in, and then Kane's gonna be off TV to go do whatever. Looks like they're still gonna do one more thing here, but Strowman gets revenge on Kane in the same way that Kane did to him last week. So after he's bashing the hell out of him with chairs and beating the hell out of Kane all over the inside of the ring, all over the outside of the ring, gets Kane in the ring with the steel steps in the ring too, puts the chair under his throat, rams it into the steel steps, and then does it a second time. So Kane eventually retreats, I believe, through the crowd, coughing and yakking and choking on everything, and the show goes off the air. So not a horrible segment there because Braun came back and everybody loves watching Braun Strowman kick ass, but still, for a main event of Raw, I'm surprised they didn't put Roman and Elias in the main event. But what do you guys think this is going to lead to with these two guys? Are we going to have a blow-off now on Raw coming up in a couple of weeks? Or are we going to do something on the Christmas Day show? Or are they going to stretch it out? What's going on? You think they got to have one more match here? Still don't know what Kane's status is. If we wind up seeing The Undertaker return to WWE, you would think Kane might want to be involved in that. I don't want The Undertaker to come back, but if he does, what's Kane going to be doing? Where's he going to be? My big retirement idea for Kane seems to be completely out the window. WWE has no interest in sending Kane off with respect and having him have a nice, good program and a big blow-off with Strowman, and he can retire. I guess technically that could still happen the way it's all looking, but I'm just not feeling it, in my heart kind of thing. So I don't know how to explain it. And Carol Owler, you're mentioning Jason Jordan and his kind of showing some cowardly heel tendencies. Yeah, he is. Cut another terrible promo tonight on Raw. Didn't even listen to him. Couldn't even look at him. He's horrible. And I like Jason Jordan too. I know I say he's horrible and he sucks and he's the worst actor ever. TVTrax put up a clip of me bashing Jason Jordan last week. But physically, I love him. I think he can wrestle. He can go. He's athletic as shit. And it's just a matter of just finding his niche. This is not his niche. I think he's got a stupid look. He's got stupid music. He's got a stupid attitude. And he's a stupid babyface. And if he's going to be a babyface, at least be something better than this. You don't want to try to recreate what The Rock did because he looks a lot like The Rock too. So you don't want to rip off The Rock. But just have some charisma to you. Just do some more. Say some more. Just have some fucking personality. That's why I think a heel turn for him would be so much better. Because I think if you're learning, and you're very green in front of the camera and on the mic, being a heel is almost better. Because, fans, it's easier to get fans to boo you than cheer you, I think. Because if you suck, they're going to boo you too. So at least if they're booing a heel Jason Jordan, they're booing him instead of booing him as a babyface. So it just sucks. No, he doesn't deserve an Oscar. Give me a break. Oh, God. That's very possible. Big Show, what the fuck? Braun Strowman and Kane in a holiday street fight. I really don't want to see that this year on that Christmas Day Raw, because you know somebody's going to get a Christmas tree shoved up their ass. They're going to have presents thrown at them. There's going to be a snowball fight. Well, if it was back in the day, the Divas would come out there in little Santa's helper outfits and have a pillow fight. So hopefully they won't go too overboard with the Christmas gimmicks on that Christmas Day Raw. But yeah, and if they put something that's supposed to be serious, you know, these two monsters want to murder each other, and if they're having some match where they're throwing fucking fruitcakes at each other, oh God, give me a break. Yeah, so that was kind of your Raw in a nutshell. What did you guys, what do you guys think about the show other than what we talked about? We know it wasn't the greatest show. You know, any other thoughts? I mean, this was really kind of a quiet week. There was not much to talk about. John Redifer, could Dean Ambrose and Kane have a decent feud involving the psychological issues gimmicks? Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's the thing. Kane just doesn't have it anymore or something. There's just something missing there. And there's something missing with Dean Ambrose as well. You know, maybe if they formed a bond, they would be a fun tag team, you know, like X-Pac and Kane used to be back in the day. Eventually you can have a betrayal there or something. So, yeah, I mean, I suppose it's possible. What do you guys think? Sorry, I'm just looking something up here. Don't mind me. But, what else do you guys want to talk about as far as Raw goes before I get into something, some other news? And we'll backtrack here. I'll go back in and talk about Raw in a minute. But right now, I'm curious if anybody wants a beer. You guys want a beer? I'm going to go to the fridge real quick. Play a little Heart Foundation music for you. Be right back. Who wants something? I love that music, don't you guys? I used to like that music better than Bret's original, or his remade theme that he had like 94. For some reason, I just always loved that really, really simple, old school Heart Foundation theme. You know, it was one of my favorite ones back in the day. But anyway, sorry, I just had to run to this fridge there and grab a beer because I'm not done talking yet. And so far, we've only gone 56 minutes, about an hour. So I will totally talk more if you guys want. Let me go back to the chat. Let me pull up Twitter over here and see if we can get any questions or anything else you guys want to talk about. Yeah, luckily I haven't had to use the restroom, but I'm like, last time I just kind of get up and I go and I make you guys sit here with nothing. I'm like, I'll put some music on or something like that. I actually do not have any Jack Daniels in the house right now. I am sorry. All I've got is wine and beer right now. I don't even have any vodka or anything, so. What if WWE remade a WWE Super Bowl commercial? That would be awesome. I don't know if WWE wants to spend that kind of money now. They were so hot back when they put that together. They were like, fuck, it might be worth it. You know, wrestling's never been more popular than it is right now. So to pay to have a commercial at the Super Bowl, they paid, you know, a few $1 million for that or something. You know, maybe $1 million for that 30 seconds or whatever it was. But I don't see the need to do it now. They're so everywhere, you know. People who don't even like wrestling know who WWE is. You know, maybe back in the day when wrestling was kind of on the upswing, it was worth the investment. But I don't even think it would serve a purpose now. But I loved that old Super Bowl commercial. Oh, let's go to Twitter for a second. L. Hamilton at Vision Reborn. You literally just tweeted me 22 seconds ago. My birthday falls on Clash of Champions. I will be 19. You want to trade places? Fuck, I would do anything to be 19. A birthday shout out would be cool from my favorite content creator. Well, I'll do my best to remember that. So just in case I don't, how about a happy birthday right now? When is the Clash? It's on the 17th, right? So yeah, you got a couple weeks left. 19, huh? Holy shit. Enjoy it, my friend. Enjoy it. It goes quick. You're going to blink, and tomorrow you're going to be 30. Aubrey Lance at ALC729 on Twitter. What's that above your GoodMicWork shirt? That is my Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 12 signed plaque. I actually bought that back in after WrestleMania 12 in 1996 after the Iron Man match. I spent the money to get it. I really enjoyed that match. I was a big Bret Hart fan. I was proud of Shawn. That was back before I really started learning about what a dick Shawn Michaels was. I always loved him as a talent, loved him as an Intercontinental Champion, as a Tag Team Champion. Much like Bret Hart, he had a very similar path. And something about that match just I liked, even though Bret Hart lost. So I decided to fork out the money and buy and get that plaque and got it delivered, and it's got a piece of the ring and the whole deal. And they would come out and do lots of those over the years. There's been many of them to be released, but I think that one is the first plaque they've ever done. I don't remember plaques prior to WrestleMania 12. After that, I think a year later, or no, the same year, they did one with Sid and Shawn from the Garden at Survivor Series when Sid won the belt, and they've done a lot since then. And I know a lot of WrestleManias now they do it, but this was one of the very first ones. So it's very cool to have a piece of the ring from the Iron Man match in my house, considering what a big fan of those two guys I am. But unfortunately, you guys can't see anything that I've got going on here. As a matter of fact, here's a picture I'll put up here. Like, this is kind of what my shelf... Oh, fuck, I can't do it. Shit. I forgot I did. Oh, wait, here we go. Maybe this will work. Like, normally, I've got so... Oh, it's not allowing me to do it. That's weird. The file must be something weird. Let me try this. Okay, that's odd. For some reason, it's not letting me drag this picture that I want to show you guys in here. But anyway, if you guys have seen some of my early on-camera stuff, I had my room set up differently. I had this gigantic fucking shelf full of millions of tapes and DVDs right behind me and collectibles, and it's kind of off to the side here, as you can see. So you can only see a little tiny corner of it, but it's loaded with everything you can imagine. As a matter of fact, I don't even think I can find anything in here. I got so many folders. Man, I've really got to go through and organize pictures and shit, but I'm trying to see if I can find any sort of picture that would do it justice. This is an old one, but this is kind of the gist of it here. It doesn't look anything like this anymore. Oh, and it is not letting me do it again. Okay. Well, I got to play around with this thing and figure out what the hell I am doing incorrectly. I don't know. For some reason, I can't drag a simple image into this live streaming software when I've been doing it. I just did it with Bret Hart. What the fuck? Anyway, I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of why you guys... I kind of put that stuff up here in the background. I wanted to give you guys something else to look at other than my fucking kitchen. So I threw a couple belts up behind me over here and some shit over here on the side. But another thing I want to do now that I've kind of got my webcam set up and I'm starting to do like on-camera stuff, I'll do a showcase of some stuff. I'll put a big stack of like some of my favorite tapes or DVDs next to me and I'll show them here on camera. Maybe one at a time. I can do little videos like that. I really want to start doing more. And the only reason, if I'm not doing it as often as I want is because I'm just limited on time. I got a full-time job, big career, and I do this in my free time, and, it's hard to keep up with it. But I really like the live streams because they don't, there's no editing involved, so I can just bust one of these out, and it's a lot of fun. Anybody have plans to go to Mania? I mentioned this in my last couple of live streams. I will be going. I'm starting to really start thinking about what I'm going to do when I'm there. So I got to start maybe contacting some people. There's a few other YouTubers I might hit up and say, hey, if you're going, why don't we get a little spot at the bar, tell the fans they can come out and meet us, something like that. So aside from me appearing at some live shows, maybe, the WrestleCon stuff, other than that, I would like to do some sort of a meet and greet with the fans in some way, whether I'm doing it on my own, buddying up with somebody else, crashing somebody else's party, I don't know. But I got to be involved in something, you would think, if I'm going to WrestleMania. So if you guys are going, would love to meet you. That's for sure. Let's go down here to the comments. I'm a little bit behind on these. Oh, they stalled out a little bit. Favorite band ever? That's really hard. That's really hard. I mean, I love good classic rock, and I love a lot of music. And it's really hard for me to narrow one down. I really think I appreciate a band like Pearl Jam. My friends hate that I love Pearl Jam, but, I remember when they first started, and how long of a run they've had kind of thing, and they've maintained respect, and they've had good albums year after year, despite what era we're in and what time period we're living in. And they've evolved a lot too. And I've always just enjoyed their music. I thought they've been solid from beginning to present day. So maybe gun to my head, I'd pick them, but I have so many more. Mike Blue T. Greg, do you think that fans nowadays value wrestling in wrestling matches over good, solid characters? Just want your thoughts on the lack of consistent characters and storylines nowadays. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think, well, the internet fan, the New Japan fan, the smark, if you will, or whatever you want to call the very know-it-all-y kind of fans that really focus on the athletic side of wrestling. I enjoy to the same degree athletic wrestling as they do. I love independent wrestling. They come off as so, I don't know, it's just their attitude towards it. Like, oh, I watch independent wrestling, I'm better than you. I watch Japan, I'm better than you. I watch Ring of Honor, I'm better than you. I've been tape trading since your parents were teenagers. You do not know better than me. And I've always hated that attitude. So, for me, it's all about, what your taste is. And for me, I already did my fill of independent wrestling back in the day. I was a tape trader, man. I had everything. I would trade for Japan tapes. I would trade for indie tapes, old AWA tapes, Smoky Mountain tapes, Georgia Championship Wrestling tapes, Florida Championship Wrestling tapes. So much crap. A lot of UWF stuff. And I loved having all of that footage and going back and watching it. And even in the 90s, when independent wrestling started getting so popular, I started recognizing guys like Chris Jericho. I would get tapes from Mexico, and I would see Chris Jericho matches, and I would see Lance Storm, and I would see a lot of guys like that, and I would see a lot of Mick Foley from Japan. And there was a lot of those type of wrestlers, a lot of Benoit, a lot of Guerrero. A lot of guys like that. So I used to be that kind of fan, just without the attitude. I never walked around thinking I knew more about wrestling than anybody. I just enjoyed wrestling, and I enjoyed watching it, and I wanted to get my hands on as much fucking footage as possible. If I would have known back in the early 90s that eventually we would have this thing called YouTube, where I could just type the shit in, I wouldn't have done it, because you guys can't even begin to understand the level of trouble I went through to find tapes. I mean, you had to have pen pals, you had to know people, you had to write people. I found a guy in a magazine that swapped a whole bunch of shit with me. I somehow found his name. I wrote to him, wrote on a piece of paper, wrote to him, mailed him a letter. He sent me 2 seasons of complete seasons of WCW Saturday Night, like 1992 and 1993. And in return, I sent him the first 2 seasons of Monday Night Raw. Big box of tapes. And that's what you did back then. I'm like, here you go. I copied them all, sent him a big box, and then he sent me a box back. And it was fucking great. That's what you had to do back then. And so if I would have known that you can just go on YouTube, type in anything you want, and literally find anything. And now we have the network, of course. It's like, God, it's like I did all that work. I mean, I have booklets, motherfuckers. Booklets full of DVDs. Those big leather binders. Just DVD after DVD, WWE show after WWE show. So much crap. So, the fans that kind of value that type of wrestling more, I'm fine with that, because I don't care what it is you value about wrestling. Just value wrestling. So if you want to be the type of person that shits on the WWE and says the only wrestling that has any credibility and means anything is what we see in Ring of Honor and New Japan, fine. But a lot of those Ring of Honor and New Japan guys go to WWE. Think of everybody that's there. Hideo Itami, Shinsuke Nakamura, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens. The list goes on and on. They are all there. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Omega shows up there at some point. AJ Styles is another guy. So I agree with everything that's wrong with WWE. I sit here literally and watch Raw, and I'm like, this is the worst fucking shit I've ever seen. If it weren't for this commentary channel, I swear I cannot imagine watching Raw. Can you guys? I mean, who watches this shit? It's so fucking lame sometimes, and some of the things they do, and it's a shame because there's so much good talent in the WWE. There's so much good wrestling to be had, and we get some of that. We get that in NXT. We get it at pay-per-views. We get really good matches out in pay-per-view. If you look at the pay-per-views this year in 2017, I can't think of specific examples because my memory is ass, but I remember specifically coming up every month doing pay-per-view reviews and saying the same things in a lot of my post-pay-per-view commentaries. Tonight, the wrestling was amazing. Not once can I remember saying the matches sucked, nobody knew what the fuck they were doing, it was a clusterfuck like we would see in WCW, near the end of their run, how bad some of these matches were, how bad everything was set up, and how the guys didn't care, nobody worked well together, nobody had any motivation, no drive, no nothing. With WWE, the way they are, everything surrounding the matches in the ring can suck, but at least we're getting the good wrestling. Because if we were getting, I don't know, One Man Gang versus Greg the Hammer Valentine quality matches, today in 2017, I can't imagine WWE getting any ratings at all. At all. So, it's a matter of one's taste. I understand fans' problems with the WWE, but I don't believe it. And the cool thing to do is just to shit on WWE and pretend that the wrestling that you like is the only wrestling that's good. That's not necessarily the case. Even a guy like Roman Reigns, the most hated guy in wrestling, has good matches. If you don't think he has good matches, then you don't know what wrestling is, and you're living in a goddamn fantasy land. It's not about a 450 splash all the time. It's about the ability to structure a match. Tell a story, sell it if you're a babyface, and pick a body part and work it if you're a heel. And that's what you do. And Roman can do it well, and he has great pay-per-view matches, and he's worked with guys of all shapes and sizes. So, if you like the indie wrestling, great, so do I. If you like the Japan wrestling, great, so do I. But I also appreciate what I see on WWE TV, along with all the shit we see on WWE TV. These backstage promos, when I watch a promo like what Dana Brooke did tonight on Raw, I'm like, I don't want anybody to walk in and say, Greg, what the fuck are you watching? Because it looks ridiculous. But people don't understand. They're not like us. They're not like you or me. We're wrestling fans. We love this goofy-ass form of entertainment. And somebody like me who's been watching it my whole life, my loyalty to it is undying. But that loyalty is being tested. Luckily, I have this YouTube channel to run, and I have responsibilities to all of you guys, and I enjoy doing my podcast, and I like it. So wrestling, this YouTube channel is keeping me invested in wrestling. Oh, God, that's such an elaborate question, Michael Wilson. What are your overall thoughts on the entire Cena versus CM Punk feud spanning from the pipe bomb all the way through early 2013? Do you believe they missed the chance for a WrestleMania Classic? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. They could have definitely worked Mania. But with everything set up with The Rock, it was all set in stone what they were going to do. So, and plus CM Punk cut that pipe bomb in June. You would have had nearly a whole year until WrestleMania. So you had to stretch it out a lot. You'd probably have to have the match at SummerSlam, then a rematch at Mania for the title or whatever. Or hell, Money in the Bank is where Punk won the belt. But yeah, they might have missed the timing on a WrestleMania match, but at the same time, the timing wasn't very good considering when the pipe bomb happened. They would have had to really stretch it out. So I'd have to elaborate more on that in like an actual Q&A, but I don't want to talk for half an hour about that whole situation. But that was earlier on when I was doing commentaries, way early. I remember I was on vacation when the pipe bomb happened, and I wasn't home. And back then, I was only coming up every few weeks. Sometimes I would come up every couple days. Sometimes I would go 2 months at a time without coming up. So after that long vacation, it took me a while. It took me like 10 days after the pipe bomb to even come up and comment on it. Because back then, this channel was not huge. Maybe a couple thousand subs at the most. Yeah. Carol, you love wrestling, the good, the bad, and the hilarious. So do I. Sometimes that's the thing, all the shit I've been complaining about tonight, at least as much as Booker T bugs me, at least I can find it funny. Grizzly X8, show us your cock before we riot. Dude, look at how little this window is. I would need to make it full screen. You know how your iPhone has like the panoramic view? That's the only way my cock's going to fit on screen. So sorry to disappoint you, but I'm not going to be able to pull it out. I mean, it takes me a few minutes just to uncoil it as it is, so. All right, Billy Knoxville. I don't often call out people in the chats. What's it with you and Bill Cosby? You keep fucking saying Bill Cosby. Who cares? What the fuck? What are you trying to what are you trying to push here? Everything is about Bill Cosby. Nobody cares about Bill Cosby. We're talking about wrestling here, in case you haven't noticed. Although, speaking of sitcoms. Was it last night? I was screwing around and I came across some old Roseanne reruns, and I was just kind of casually watching them. And there was one scene where Darlene Connor, this is like one of the first seasons, where she's making fun of Becky, and Becky punches her and she goes, "Ow, you sexy thing," or whatever. And I busted out laughing, like out loud. And I love Roseanne. That was probably one of my favorite sitcoms ever. And I hadn't seen that episode in so long. I think I kind of forgot about it. And then when I saw her say that, I laughed so fucking hard. I took a video of it and I tweeted it. And Sarah Gilbert, who played Roseanne, retweeted it. And it's got a shit ton of like retweets and likes. But I almost like marked out for that. And Sarah Gilbert's on a talk show as well. They also retweeted it. I thought it was really cool. And a couple other celebrities liked it. But I just found that to be really funny. And I thought it was really cool that Sarah Gilbert retweeted that. So go over and check out Sarah Gilbert's page. I think it's still like the top tweet on her page. But I got a big kick out of that because I was such a big fan of that show, man. It was so before its time, and it's returning. They're actually doing a reboot of it. It airs next year. It's kind of like it's going to be like Fuller House and some of those other ones that they've done. But Roseanne is coming back, and the entire cast is going to be there. The one boyfriend, Mark, he did die years ago of a drug overdose. So they'll probably deal with that in storyline on TV. But I'm excited to see kind of the reboot of Roseanne. And still to this day, one of the weirdest and eeriest series finales you've ever seen. You know, for those, I won't spoil anything for you, for those of you who care this much about Roseanne. But it was a really touching kind of ending. And when you see everything that the family went through in the past couple of seasons, and then you see the last 30 seconds of the series, and you see what the reality is, it's one of the saddest moments, you know, in TV history. It's right up there with Brian dying on Family Guy. Very sad. But one of my favorite all-time shows. Yeah, I think you mean Darlene. I thought I said Darlene. Darlene Connor. But Sarah Gilbert played Darlene Connor. Yes, I know that, Carol. Roseanne is into wrestling. I saw her tweeting about the Japan show. This woman is watching, like, whatever the hell it was. She was watching one of those crazy matches in Japan. I forgot what, but I thought that was awesome. Do I speak any other languages? Not really, and I'm ashamed because I don't speak Spanish, but I can communicate with in Spanish because I work with a lot of guys that speak Spanish, and they all speak English too. You know, all the Mexican guys I have working with me, they're bilingual. I'm not, and I admire that for them because they really work hard to learn the language. A lot of them take classes, and a lot of them just pick it up and learn it. And I think that's great. And I'm so upset that I never took the time to learn Spanish. If there's one language an English-speaking person in America needs to learn, it's Spanish. You know, it's a huge asset to you. If you can speak Spanish, that's something that I look for on a resume. You know, if I'm hiring somebody, if I'm hiring a chef or a manager or anybody in any sort of authority position at my job, speaking Spanish is a big plus. You know, but luckily for me, all of our Spanish-speaking guys can also speak English, so they can communicate with us a lot better than we can with them. You know, they're the ones doing the work. Us lazy Americans sitting here just learning one language and knowing one language. I would love to know more. It's actually one of my biggest regrets in life is never taking the time to learn at least 2 languages. I guess I could still do it. I'm not that old. I'm fluent in sarcasm and bullshit too. I listened to I was listening to Wrestling with Regret, or not Wrestling with Regret. Sorry, Brian Zane. Something to Wrestle With. Bruce Pritchard, the podcast. I've mentioned them a couple of times. They did some Thanksgiving shows, and they reviewed Survivor Series 1987. And Bruce actually sang the Russian national anthem. And then he said something like, "I'm fluent in Russian national anthems," and I thought that was hilarious. Thank you, Chaz. Restaurant's going well. Got an awesome job. No complaints. I'm outside, breathing fresh air, staring at the ocean, making a good living. I'm very happy with the career path I took. It's kept me young. If I was sitting in a cubicle, I'd probably have a completely gray beard, and I'd have one foot in the grave. But luckily for me, my job keeps me on my feet, moving around. I'm in good shape. I'm happy. I feel young. I feel good. My joints don't hurt. And, you know, I'm pretty happy living here and doing the work that I do. Would love to do this full time. Sure would be nice. I've been in the restaurant business for over 25 years. Damn, I almost need another beer. You need a job? I can't hire fans, sorry. It would not be right. Boy, I got a lot of hire me's. What was that's just symbols for a name, so I can't pronounce it. Sorry, I don't know what your name is, but what was the best year in wrestling for me? That's tough, man. There's a few. 97's up there. 87 is up there. 92. 2000. Maybe 01. And maybe even 2014. That was fun. I remember doing commentaries that year and really saying to myself, damn, there's a lot of shit going on. You know, between what we saw with Daniel Bryan winning the title at WrestleMania 30 and then being injured, and then the CM Punk drama, him walking out after the Royal Rumble, and the Colt Cabana podcast, and all that shit. Undertaker, you know, losing his streak, Ultimate Warrior dying. There's so much shit went on. So that's not really the best year, but it's one that I remember. Okay. I would let you put a spoon up my ass with a smile if you spelled your right, but you didn't. Nobody does. All right. I think I've gone through read as many comments here. I'm going to give that a break for a second. Let's talk about, I have some other shit written down. Some other news. So we had Starrcade last Saturday, I think. The 25th, right? It was in Greensboro. Somebody tweeted me. Oh, it's probably so far down I'll never find it now. Somebody did tweet me that they were there and tweeted me a picture. I wish I could find you now. I'd have to go way down. Oh no, maybe I didn't. Let me see. Let me give you credit. Why not? Here you are. BA at B2 Daisa. D-A-I-S-A. Whatever. You were at Starrcade. That was awesome. You tweeted me a picture. You were like one of the first ones in the building. I'm looking at it right now. Arena completely empty, but it's got the Starrcade, ring apron there and all of that. And that Greensboro Coliseum, that teal green. I'll never forget that. It's still the same in there, huh? I'm wondering how the Greensboro Coliseum looks. The chairs look a little darker. Back in the day, they were like multicolored. When I went there for King of the Ring, that chair that's right behind me there was in that very building. And I thought for a house show, this was announced a while back, and we were kind of like, it's not even televised on the WWE Network. What's the point? It turned out to be a pretty fun show, apparently. Arn Anderson threw a spine buster on Dolph Ziggler. Holy shit, I would have loved to be there to see that. Charlotte Flair defended the women's title in a cage. First time I think a cage match has been in North Carolina for the women, or some sort of statistic like that. And then Ric Flair came out to celebrate with Charlotte after she won. She tapped out Natty in the figure eight, I believe. And they let Goldust, Dustin Rhodes, wrestle as Dustin Rhodes, as the natural Dustin Rhodes. And they even played his old WCW theme music. That was awesome. So I think overall, Starrcade was a fun little live event. I would have loved for it to be on the network. I would have loved for it to be a pay-per-view. But for what it was, for them to give Greensboro that show, I thought was nice, I guess. A lot of history there. They treated it with respect. They weren't really shitting on WCW because, Survivor Series 1987 went head-to-head with Starrcade 1987. And Vince blackmailed the cable companies into not carrying Starrcade. So there's some history there. And for WWE to come back into that arena, into that city, where, they fucked him over all those years ago, I wasn't sure if older fans would even like that. But turns out it was a pretty good show. It looked like there was a good crowd there. Not a sellout by any means, but definitely a good turnout for Greensboro, and I miss it. I miss going there. I mean, Greensboro's kind of a crappy town. And but, there's just something about where you used to live you're nostalgic for. And I miss making the road trips to the Greensboro Coliseum. I saw so many shows there. Unforgiven, 1998. Countless Raws. King of the Ring, 99. A lot of house shows. Anybody watching in North Carolina, there was a radio show back in the day. I think it's probably still going on. John Boy and Billy. And I went to a show in Charlotte in 1999. It was a house show, and I got ringside seats. Basically, I was in the middle, like... If you're watching Raw on TV and the hard camera is pointed right at the ring, that the fans right there, like on the 50-yard line of the ring, that's where I sat for a house show. And right next to me was John Boy and Billy. And they had given comp seats or something to the show, and I got to sit and chat with them and watch the whole show the whole time. but the fans were nuts. But it was a house show, a fucking house show in Charlotte, and that's a big arena. Goddamn sellout, swear to God. I mean, the house show atmosphere back then was really huge. I remember going to one in Greensboro in late 97. It was right before it was right after the screw job. I'm sorry. So this would have been, when the hell would this have been? This would have been, I guess, the same weekend. That's right. It was the same weekend that I went to Fayetteville, and they had the midget Bret Hart. And this was a house show, and I remember it was packed. They had a Mankind versus The Rock hardcore match. I remember it was Dude Love back then. I forgot what the fuck it was. I want to say it was Dude Love took on Rock in a hardcore match, put a vice on The Rock's nuts. Great spot. Austin came out in a golf cart, was driving that around. Legion of Doom was taking on Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. So yeah, that's right. Now I'm remembering. It's all coming back to me. This was before that Raw. The New Age Outlaws won the titles on that Raw for the first time. They were not champs yet. They took on champions Legion of Doom earlier on in the night, but came up short. Ended up winning the belt on Raw instead. But Greensboro has just always been a great arena and a really fun arena for wrestling. And I met a bunch of guys. There used to be, back in the day in the 90s, there was a barbecue restaurant right across the street behind the building where the production trucks were. And it was kind of tucked away. You didn't really see it. So you would walk out, and then there it was, and I walked in there, and sitting at a table was Mark Marrow and Sable and Ken Shamrock sat right next to him. Fucking awesome. So I have a lot of great memories of Greensboro and meeting a lot of wrestlers and all that shit. Greensboro is an awesome town. John Redifer, are they nice guys? Yes, they're very nice guys. And as a matter of fact, that's not the last I would see of John Boy and Billy, because when I lived in Wilmington and worked there, that's where John Boy vacationed. John Boy, I believe, was the bigger guy with like the beard, and he would come in all the time. And I saw him, and I would say, "Hey, remember me from the show?" And he'd say, "No, not really." But I'd tell him, "Oh, I sat right next to you at this wrestling show," and "Oh, how about that?" or whatever. And he would come in all the time, and really cool guy. So I think that he just had a house down on Wrightsville Beach somewhere. But met both of those guys a bunch. But they were very nice guys, super down to earth, not arrogant in any way, shape, or form. And John Boy, he would just come in and just drink I think he was drinking like Miller Lights or something. He's just a good old boy. You know, he would come into the bar and sit there and get something to eat and drink light beer with a couple of his friends. Yeah, Greensboro's country as fuck. You're right there. I've spent the night there a few times. A lot of times when I would go to these shows and I would travel, I would go to Greensboro, then we'd hit Charlotte, and then we might, swing back through Fayetteville. Sometimes go down to Columbia, South Carolina, up to Roanoke, Virginia, Norfolk, Hampton, and where else? Another town in Virginia, too. I forget where else. But we'd be all over the place on the East Coast. But yeah, Greensboro's very country. And as much as I'm not a fan of the South and the values there, I do miss it. I miss good old country cooking. I miss I miss biscuits and grits. Well, actually, I don't like grits, but I miss biscuits and shit like that. We don't have any Cracker Barrels around here in California, or Waffle Houses, to say the least. Do I have any crazy restaurant stories? That is a whole nother commentary in itself. You wouldn't even fucking believe the shit that I've seen and witnessed, and I've seen people die. I've seen everything. I've seen some fucking crazy stuff in restaurants over the years. Make a great book. I've always said that. Did I say Spain Busters? I didn't mean to. Spine Busters. Alpha Dorf, how can you buy a Good Mic Work t-shirt? Go to my website, goodmicworkcommentaries.com. All the tabs across the top of the page. There's a merchandise one. Click it there. You got to pay right through PayPal. The only thing you have to do is when you make the payment, put in the description which one you want, because you'll see two options there, and also your size. And your address and everything will be on your PayPal order, and I'll ship it right out to you. I need to do more with merchandise stuff. I'm really inspired by what Bruce Pritchard and Conrad do on Wrestling with Regret. Those motherfuckers call on the phone every single person that buys a shirt from them. And they sell a lot of fucking shirts. So they're sitting there making phone calls, or Bruce does it, and he just calls you. I want to buy a shirt just to call him on the phone. Like, hey, dude, what's up? It's Good Mic Work. You've retweeted me a bunch of times. Why don't you bring me on your show? Because sometimes when I'm riding in the car and I'm listening to their podcast, I'm correcting them out loud. like today, for example, I was just finishing up listening to the Survivor Series 1987 episode they did on Thanksgiving. It was 3 hours long, so the only time I listen to them is when I'm in the car. So they're talking about Joey Morella passing away very sadly. And Bruce had his dates all mixed up, and I'm like, it's 1994, you know? And he's like, he died in like 93 sometime or whatever. I'm like, no, it's 94. I promise you died in 94. So sometimes I hear him just, you know, say a date wrong, and I'm like, I know the right answer. And I was really surprised that Conrad didn't recognize or didn't realize that Bundy shaved his eyebrows back in the 80s. If you remember that, Bundy had eyebrows previous to WWE, and then he got to WWE and he had no eyebrows. Then he left, came back in like 94 for a quick run with the $1 Million Corporation, and the eyebrows were back. But Bruce told a story about how Vince wanted him to shave his eyebrows, and Conrad was like, I never even noticed his eyebrows were shaved. And I'm like, that's one of the first things I did notice about Bundy when he came back. You know, I'm like, what is different about him? I'm like, holy shit, his eyebrows are there. So, Roaring Metal Man, do I watch JD from New York? Sometimes I like JD. JD and I are on good terms. He and I speak every now and then. He actually asked me to co-host a show a couple of years ago when I wasn't quite taking YouTube that seriously. And we had talked a little bit, and I was like, oh man, you know, I was like, I'd love to, but my schedule is just so fucked up, and I work at night, you know, and I want to keep things consistent. And if he's somebody that does a weekly podcast on a certain day, I was worried that I'd be unreliable to him. But I appreciated the offer. But he's got a really successful channel. He's much more hardcore than me. You know, he complains a lot more than me, but you know, that's what his gig is. You know, that's what his audience wants to hear. They're frustrated, they're angry, and they have every right to be most of the time, because what we see is shit. I just personally try to keep things a little bit more on an even keel, but that doesn't, you know, that doesn't mean I necessarily disagree with what he says, because he's right about a lot. But yeah, I like JD. I like Joe too. Joe Cronin. He's good to me. We talk. Nice guy. They're both nice guys. No, I don't watch PWG. I'm right here in California. I should check them out more. I suck as a wrestling fan. If this was 1999, Greg, I'd be the best. But unfortunately, this is 2017, Greg, and he's a whole different person. I'm lucky I can even watch Raw and SmackDown as it is and come up and comment on that shit. So to start, you know, you got NXT, you got 205 Live, you got Japan, you got Ring of Honor. I can't keep track. I'm the casual reviewer. You guys know that. Very casual. Is it true that California does not have sweet tea? Yes, it is. We do have tea in the restaurant. We will brew it, but we brew 1 urn of regular ass tea. And people say, what kind of tea do you have? I'm like, the brown shit. The tea that's tea. You know? But yeah, they don't, in the South, I remember, because I worked in restaurants there too, you know, and was the GM of a place, and we would have tea, we would have unsweet tea and sweet tea, or sweet tea. I should say sweet tea, right? Because that's what they have down there in the South. They got that sweet tea. You just eat a little biscuit with the tea. It's good as shit, man. But yeah, we had a sweet tea, and it's just so funny how you make this shit, man. You dump like a gallon of fucking sugar right into this tea, and you make a simple syrup out of it, put some hot water, stir it up, dump it in there. And I don't like tea, I don't like coffee either. So whenever I taste it, I'm like, this fucking tastes like shit. I just cannot stand iced tea. But that's what everybody drinks. So we would have to brew about 3 urns of sweet tea and then 1 urn of unsweet, because some people like to put that rat cancer, sweet and low, in the tea if they're trying to be healthy. But otherwise, man, sweet tea. I don't miss having to make that shit every fucking day. Nobody drinks tea out here. Every now and then you'll get somebody getting a tea, but most of the time it's a sparkling water, it's a soda, it's a herbal tea, or I don't know, some hippie shit. Grizzly, I just answered that question about JD. JD's a good guy. Talk to him every now and then. No issue with him at all. Hell yeah, y'all liking my southern accent, aren't you? Yeah. I grew up a long time down there, man. All my redneck boys, they still drive around on their tractors, and they're still living in the same town they always did, eating their grits and their toast and their fucking barbecue. They put a whole goddamn pig up there on the grill, right? And they cook it with the head and everything, and then you just eat it. It's called a pig picking. Y'all never been to a pig picking? All my friends, I watch them back home, and they're still doing pig pickings and all this shit. I just laugh so hard. You know, I love the South. I have such a deep love for the South in my heart, but man, I can't ever go back there. Fucking California. It's just normal out here. Yeah, see, I can turn that Southern accent on and off whenever I want. I can just slide into it like that, and I can just talk like a normal human being, either way. But man, being around that growing up, you pick up some things. My sisters, when they lived there, were real young, and they went to elementary school in North Carolina, so they got that Southern accent. They sound like a couple little hicks. And then finally, my family packed up and moved to California in like 97, and I stayed behind. I was in college, and that's why I moved out here, because they lived here 15, 20 years, and I would visit every year, and eventually I'm like, I got to move here. But my sisters, they both picked up that accent. And then when they got to California, it's completely gone now, but they had it hard. Yeah, redneck drinking Stella. I should be drinking Natural Light. Natty Light. Or Coors Light. Bud Light. Ice House. DBag0584. This dude is cool. First time watcher. Thank you. Click that subscribe button while you're at it, if you don't mind. Appreciate it. Southern Mic Work. Yes, I've done everything in restaurants. General manager, bartender, server. Started out as a dishwasher at age 14 in a dish room. Was a busboy. I've done everything. Mike Blue T. Southern Greg will kill. I killed Dana Brooke in a promo war. You kidding me? Shit. AJ Styles. Daniel Loria, or Loria probably. ECU Pirates, you tweeted me just the other day. I remember your name. Thank you for that. You are a fellow pirate as well. East Carolina University. WWE just started doing house shows down at Minji's Coliseum again. I went to a WCW show there in like 1991. But WWE never came in because the building was so small. I actually graduated high school in that very arena. That's where they held the graduation. But I used to, when I was a kid, when I was like 12 and 13, I would sell sodas, drinks at the ECU football games. And man, I would make so much money. First of all, you had to be, not every kid could do that. You had to be strong. These are big giant trays of like 50 fucking sodas. They're heavy as hell. They're soaking your pants. It was the first time I learned at such a young age the value of $1. I worked my ass off. And you could walk out at 12 or 13 years old with like $200 or $300. And there was a strategy to it. I'll never forget. The games were fun, by the way, back then, because ECU was ranked, and they were going to bowl games and shit, so they would be packed. And then you would show up for this job, and they would ask you, do you want to sell on the student side or the faculty side? And you would always want to say student side. Even at 12 years old and 13 years old, I knew where to go, because if you go to the student side, they're all wasted. They're fucking hammered. They've all been tailgating, they got airplane bottles in their pocket, and they're smashed. And they would also let you choose what you wanted to sell. Coke or Sprite, or Pepsi and Mountain Dew. And a lot of Southerners love their Mountain Dew, but Mountain Dew is not a good mixer. So I would always choose Coke and Sprite, and I would go up into the student stands, and they would buy the shit from me and pour their bourbon in it. You know, bourbon and Sprite, bourbon and 7, bourbon and Coke, whatever. And they would be so drunk half the time. The drinks were like $2.50. A lot of times they'd give you like $5. Oh, keep the change? That's a 100% tip. You know, sometimes they'd buy 2 drinks and give you $20 and be so wasted they don't know what the fuck's going on. And you're like, cool, thanks. Put $20 in your pocket. Here's your 2 drinks. And you make a shit ton of money. And by the end of the game, you're walking out of there with a wad of cash. And that's how I made a lot of my money as a teenager. Spent it all on baseball cards. I was a big baseball card collector back then. And I have a lot of that shit still. It's fucking worthless. Maybe one day I'll pull all that stuff out and show it to you guys. You want a drink from my bottle? I don't know. I need another beer. To the person whose name I cannot read, my opinion on Starrcade, I just talked about it a little bit ago. I thought it was awesome they did a house show there. Do you guys mind if I grab a beer and take a piss? I kind of have to. Why don't we put up Dustin Eaton's awesome New Japan logo that he made for me not long ago. How cool is that? I love fucking fan art, man. It's so fucking great. You guys want to listen to the Hart Foundation some more while I go pee? And I'm going to get a beer from the fridge. Now's your chance to tell me if you want anything. But I don't have any bourbon, so stop asking. But if anybody wants any crack, can hook you up. Probably gonna come back and there's gonna be 30 people watching. All right, I'm back. I'm back and better than ever. All right, shut up, Bret. Excuse me. Where were we? Thank you for being patient. Fuck, I forgot my beer. Where's my beer? So, how many people we still have looking at this here? How's our audience? Let's check it out. Not bad. 135. So you guys are hanging around. Sometimes I think when I go take a break or use the restroom or something that you guys are gonna leave. That makes me so sad. But you guys didn't because you're awesome. Anyway, where were we? So I've talked about Starrcade. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about, if I can find my notes. Sorry, the way I have this whole thing configured, my microphone is right in front of my other screen where I have all my notes, so it's just hard to see sometimes. That's right. That's what I wanted to talk about. Kevin Owens. Did you guys see the WWE Network show on Kevin Owens? That was awesome. I thought that was a really good... It was only like 45 minutes long to an hour, the Kevin Owens 365. I thought it was ironic that they were releasing that on him after everything that's been going on with him and Sami Zayn and all that backstage shit. But I thought it was a really good documentary, and it showed you a lot. And I think the biggest part of that show, or the thing that I remember the most, is right after his WrestleMania match with Chris Jericho, and Vince McMahon was pissed at him. How weird was that to see? They showed a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, but that was one part of the show that I remembered when he was back at Gorilla, standing there at Michael Hayes was there, and Billy Kidman, somebody else was there with Vince. And he's like, how did it go? Was it all good? And Vince was like, no, it wasn't. And Kevin Owens just awkwardly stood there. It was like the most awkward. He was kind of like looking at the monitor. He wanted to run away, but he kind of just got stuck there. And it was, he's like, man, it was hard to hear that or whatever. So I thought the overall documentary was very good. Hopefully they'll do more of those. I get those confused. So they have that, and then they also have the WWE 24. Why do they name this shit different things? Just keep it the same name. It's essentially the same show. They should just call it the same thing. But it follows him for a full year, followed him prior to him winning the Universal title, all the way through his title run, through WrestleMania, and then into the summer and back to SummerSlam again. So if you haven't seen that, pull it up on the network. It's pretty awesome. All right, let's see where we're at here. Just checking everything, making sure everything's good. How long have we been going here? An hour and 42? All right, I'll go longer. Trust me, man, I was really excited to just come up here tonight after Raw. It was such a long weekend. By the way, I hope everybody had a really good Thanksgiving, those of you who are listening in the United States. Hope you had fun with your family, had a great holiday and a great weekend. And how ass backwards my schedule is, I got the day off today. I had to do nothing. The entire rest of the country went back to work after a long break. I worked all fucking weekend, and it was a nightmare. Reading the comments now, sorry. Yeah, no, damn, I need to change my username. Yeah, I'm sorry, it looks like an A and an N and a U, but that might not even be letters, so I'm sorry, I just don't know what it says. But I'm still reading your shit, don't worry, it's all good. Yeah, I did. I spit a verse from Eric Bischoff's theme song. Was the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn thing a work? I don't know. Maybe it was. Maybe WWE wanted to just play with the fans and release some story like that. But at the same time, they did leave the tour on a tour that was already depleted. I don't think Roman Reigns was there, and they were missing some other guys too. Fucking Triple H and Kurt Angle were filling in and shit. So on a tour that's already been depleted and on a tour that these guys were advertised for, I'd be surprised if WWE pulled them on purpose. My gut is that it was real and it was shoot, but these guys really did get in some trouble. But I would like it if it was a work, because that broke my heart when I heard that story. Oklahoma 24, a couple hours ago, we did talk about the Matt Hardy broken gimmick. You can go back and watch the beginning of this video to hear about that. But yeah, it looks like some version of Broken Matt, whether it's broken or woken, is going to be showing up on WWE TV real soon. That was an awesome segment on Raw. One Good West, do I hate Stephanie, the character, or the actual person? I hate Stephanie's character. As an actual person, I'm sure there's a very kind side to Stephanie. I'm sure there's a very relatable side. Talent can approach her, and she's very nice, very cordial, very respectful. But she's also Stephanie at the same time, and I don't think I could handle being condescended to by her. You know what I mean? In that authority role, I could just see her lecturing a young talent, and that's fine. A young person who's 20 years old, who's green as turtle shit, probably needs a good talking to every now and then. But for example, if I was a writer, and I'm older than Stephanie, and I'm on the creative team, and this fucking woman is talking to me like this, like she's chewing me out for something. I'm like, who the fuck are you? Get the fuck out of my face. I've just never been good with authority. So in my life, the work that I've done, I've never had more than one boss. I've never had like several bosses that I have to like go to. I can handle a boss. I can't handle bosses. And at some points in my career, I've had no bosses at all, which is really nice. But I'm just bad with that. I wasn't built to take that type of abuse kind of thing. And so when I think about the way Stephanie is, when I hear stories, I know I mention these guys a lot, but when I hear Bruce and Conrad, when Bruce Pritchard talks about backstage shit that he dealt with, he's, some of the things involving Stephanie, how, I don't know what the word is, how irrational, I guess, she can be sometimes, would be too frustrating for me. I wouldn't be able to handle it. I'd probably have to quit or move to an area where Stephanie is completely away from me. Put me in NXT where I don't have to look at a bitch at all. When am I going to do job stories? I don't know. I'll get into that one day. We have the whole future ahead of us, guys. We can grow old together. I can do live streams forever. Shit's getting really easy. I'm getting the hang of it. So I think I should start branching out and doing some other ideas now. I still want to do the video game thing. And maybe do some videos where I'm showing off some shit in my collection. Who knows? Yeah, that's the thing. Stephanie can come off as a nice woman. Stephanie has a nice side. But the problem with Stephanie is she's in that position. Her position in the company is almost going to force her to kind of be a hard ass, which I get. Sometimes, if your job is to, control everybody, then you're going to have to be cutthroat at times. I don't like being in charge sometimes at my job. I've had to fire people. I think in my life, of all the people I've had to let go, only one or two was enjoyable. To where they actually deserved it, and I didn't want to see the fucker again, and I enjoyed the experience of sending them out on their ass. But 99 times out of 100, it bothers me, to talk to somebody like that. I always just swore if I ever had a position of authority that I would lead by example, and I would never be a hard ass jerk, because I had enough of that growing up, and I paid my dues by listening to dickheads like that, and sometimes it's not always best. I believe in leading by example. I've seen people, managers or people in the position of authority. Let's say a customer's kid makes a big mess at a table, spills shit everywhere. Little pieces of cereal and toys and milk spilled all over the place. I've seen managers that will spend 15 minutes looking for a busboy or a dishwasher to go clean the mess up instead of taking the 3 minutes to clean the fucking shit up themselves. So I believe that's what I do. If I see something, I expect one of my staff members to jump on it, but if they don't, I'm going to go get it myself. And I'll grab the broom, and then once you do that, within seconds, somebody's coming up, oh, let me get that for you, Greg. I'm just kind of showing you guys, when you see something like this, don't fucking stand around. And eventually, just with courtesy and treating people with respect, provided they're respectful people, is a good way to govern, and it's a good way to run a staff, and it's a good way to keep people happy and morale high and shit like that. I'm a big believer in that. I run my restaurants much like a coach would want to run his team. I try to be there for people. I try to not yell at them, criticize and correct mistakes when they happen, but I don't want to send anybody home feeling like they're a piece of shit. Now, they come in cocky and with an attitude and they suck and they try to call in sick and they pull shady crap, then yeah, I'm going to be an absolute nightmare and they're going to rue the day they ever met me. But provided they're good, hardworking people with good intentions, I am extremely patient with people trying to, as far as being their boss. Zach Galoy, I'm sorry, Zane, not Zach. Zane Galoy, do you see Ambrose and Rollins winning the tag team titles next week on Raw? Yes, I talked about that earlier on. I think they're going to take the belts. I think WWE wants to have the Shield with a lot of gold. That's what I think they're going to do. Biggest asshole wrestler I've ever met. I'm trying to think if I've ever met an asshole. Everybody's been pretty cool. The only one that comes to mind is Albert Tenzai. What's his name? What's his fucking name? God, my memory. Why can't I think of what Albert's name is? Bloom. Matt Bloom. There we go. Took a minute. He wasn't nice to me one time when I ran into him outside a hotel. And I'm not an annoying fan. Like, if I see somebody, I don't run up tugging on their fucking suitcase and like, give me an autograph. I never gave a shit about that. Back in the day, we didn't even have cell phones and cameras. I had a disposable camera on me half the time, but I never was like, can I get a picture? I was just never that fan. And we were checking into the same hotel. And he was right like behind me, and I saw him, and I finished up, and I turned around, and I was like, great. I said, great show, because I was at the show the night before. And so I turned around, I'm like, oh, hey, I'm like, great show. And I patted him on the shoulder, and he goes, it hasn't happened yet, in a real douchey voice. And I'm like, no, I was there last night. And there was a show that night, too. That's why we were checking into the hotel. It was either Greensboro, Charlotte, or wherever the fuck. Checking into the hotel. And then we were going to go to the show that evening. But we had also attended the show the night before. And when I saw him, I patted him on the shoulder, said, great show. And he said it in such a douchey way. I understand that he thought that well, the show hasn't happened yet. But the way he said it was just douchey. And I'm like, dude, I meant last night. You wrestled. I was telling you, good job. And you insulted me. So fuck you. So he's the only guy. And that wasn't even really the most asshole move in the world. So I've been pretty lucky. Everybody's been really cool to me. And like somebody like Mark Marrow, I think of him because I met him several times. And Mark Marrow, he was so cool. He remembered my dad's name because I met him backstage at a show. And then I saw him like 2 years later in Greensboro. And that's so funny. I mentioned this. In Greensboro at that barbecue restaurant I mentioned a minute ago. And he goes, your dad is Jim, right? And I'm like, holy shit. Yeah, you remembered that. So, and like 2 years had gone by. So I always gave Mark Marrow a pass, any issues that anybody's ever had with him or criticism of him. Always very nice to me. And I'll never shit on Mark Marrow. What time is it, GoodMicWork? Look at your phone. Here in California, it's 10:09 p.m. It's early for me. There comes all that. Now all the Matt Blooms are coming in. That's funny. Yeah, I'm on like a 10 or 15 second delay here, so... Virgil, you met Virgil once? Very nice guy. I have never met Virgil. I met a lot of people. I've not met Virgil. He's a hilarious dude on Twitter. Him and his meat sauce and his Olive Garden and his fuck money and shit. Sometimes I'm like disgusted with him, and then sometimes I'm like, he's pretty funny. CM Punk, yeah, I can definitely see him being an asshole. Heard a lot of stories about CM Punk, unpleasant stories. You met the Hardys, Lita, and Big Show back in 2000. I've met all of them as well. The Hardy Boys I've met a bunch of times. I knew those boys when they were young, man. I remember seeing them way before they even went to WWE. For the first few years they were in the company, they would have their entourage. Or not entourage, but this big pack of friends show up at all the shows in North Carolina. No matter where we were. Charlotte, Fayetteville, Greensboro, Raleigh. They were always there. And a lot of them were like scantily clad women. They had a little entourage. They had some rats just followed them around. It was pretty funny. My friends and I always got a kick out of them. And we would see, the funny thing is their dad, the Hardy Boys' dad would be in the crowd a lot too. And he wouldn't be like comped seats at ringside. He'd be mingling with all of us. And I would get floor seats a lot and stuff. And I cannot tell you how many times I just saw the Hardy Boys' dad walking around, talking to people. A lot of people in the Carolinas recognized him. And he always looked the same. He was an old guy. He would wear like a Hardy Boys t-shirt over top of another shirt. And he'd wear a hat, like a farmer's hat. And just always looked the same. And recently I saw like Matt Hardy tweeted a picture of him and Jeff and his dad. I'm like, wow, his dad still looks the fucking same to this day. But back then, before the Hardy Boys really made it, I saw that a lot. I saw them a lot work around the Carolinas. Ran into them a lot at restaurants and shit after shows and stuff. So they were always cool guys. And they were so young back then too. That was back when they were wearing like the loud, bright and green tights and the bandanas. That was before they were even, the Hardy Boys that we became to know. Am I a fan of Sam Roberts? I don't listen to Sam that much, but I like him. He's cool. He's a cool guy. I'm happy for him, man. He's on WWE pre-shows and shit. That's something that I would actually like to see for Solomonster. He seems like that type of podcaster that, he's critical of WWE too. Hopefully they don't hear too much of what he says. But he's not over the top. He's not like a crazy fucking psycho. So, I think he'd be a perfect guy to be on the pre-show, along with myself. I think I'd fit in quite well too, but those guys are much more popular than me. But I could see him doing something like Sam Roberts. But I think Sam's awesome. He's got a good podcast, and you can understand him, and he always brings up good subjects, and he has good, he's good banter back and forth with all of his guests. He's definitely not a boring guy. He's not very edgy. He's very plain, small-looking, easygoing guy, and I like that. I'm more that side. I can do my fair share of complaining. Don't get me wrong. You guys have heard me rant in the past, but who I am truly as a person, I'm more of that, kind of laid back, easygoing, do my best to be happy, cup half full, guy. I live in San Diego and out in the sun every day. That's the attitude you have to have. Or that's the attitude you get when you live in a place like this. If I lived in a cold, freezing, gray city where it's cloudy all the time, I'd probably be an asshole too. But I'm just generally a happy dude, and Sam Roberts seems to be too. You met the $1 Million Man? That's awesome. Have I met DiBiase? Have I met DiBiase? Yeah, I met DiBiase. I was about to say, I'm like, I think I have. I met him in like, I'd say 94. I'm actually searching right now on my computer for a picture DiBiase related. I'm never going to be able to find it. So much shit. But, no, DiBiase's got an interesting story. He's got like a movie. Was it a movie or documentary or some shit that's out? He's a very spiritual and religious guy, kind of like Shawn Michaels is. I can't find it. I gotta have this shit ready for next time. And I don't know why it wouldn't let me put a picture in earlier. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, where are we at here? How's our time looking? We're all going up on 2 hours now. Hardcore Holly is awesome. I have his book right over here. And Holly's awesome. Great book, too. If you haven't read Holly's book, you can pick it up paperback, super cheap. Go to Amazon. He'll get a portion of that. And tweet it to him. I'm sure he'll be happy to retweet you. Hardcore Holly's a very cool guy. Very humble. I never met him, but I've seen him. Like, fucking motorcycle outside. I never met Holly, like, shook his hand. Hello, I'm Greg. But I've seen him in public. Like at a Waffle House or something before. But seems like a totally cool guy. Not a big Marilyn Manson fan, no. Don't hate Marilyn Manson, but was never a big fan. CM Punk, will he ever be open to going into the Hall of Fame? That's looking way ahead. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure. If Bret Hart, what they fucking did to that guy, if he's coming back, anybody will come back. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, I agree. Steven Larson, they're laid back too. I just like people that... Are they from here? I didn't know they were from California. Are they? Steven Larson? I didn't even know that. I never even took the time to find out where they were from. Those are the only guys that I've never actually spoken to. Like all the other YouTubers, like I've talked to and we've exchanged words or talked about doing something together or emails or whatever. But Steven Larson, I've never formally introduced myself to. I'd like to meet those guys. They seem real cool. Never met Vince Russo. Talked to him on Twitter a couple times though. Have met Triple H, yes. Met him in China together when they were still a couple back in the day. Huh, that's a cool story. You met RVD at a railroad stop and he was cool and he signed your Rise and Fall of ECW DVD? That's awesome. Okay, Steven Larson are from Sacramento. Cool. That's way north, but that's awesome. I didn't know that. Yeah, well, Road Dogg forever. Terry Funk's old school, and that's the type of thing he's gonna do. The cool thing is somebody just asked me if I ever met Bret Hart, and I did. And when I met him, this was after his stroke. This would have been in like '03, I think. And I said, "How are you?" And I'll never forget him like commenting. He goes, "Thank you for asking." He goes, "I can't tell you how great it is to like hear somebody say that. I just think a lot of times it's like, here, sign this, and do you think your brother should go into the Hall of Fame, or or whatever? What was it like when you beat Ric Flair, or whatever the fuck?" And the very first thing I said, I'm like, "Dude, how are you?" Because Bret was my guy. Bret was my favorite wrestler, so I was terrified when he had a stroke, and I was so worried that the Harts were going to wind up like the Von Erichs. By that point, Owen had been dead for a few years. The family was fighting. There was a lot of turmoil. Bret was still on horrible terms with WWE. British Bulldog just passed away. It was a bad time, and I was concerned because the Hart family were so legendary to me, and they meant so much to me. I was sad that what was happening. So I just asked him, like, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And he appreciated it. And a lot of those old school wrestlers, they're like that. If you meet them, they appreciate it. If you say, "How you doing?" Like, how's your family? How's your wife, or whatever the fuck, I always just believe in like being respectful. Like I mentioned this in my last live stream. I meet a ton of celebrities with my job, a lot of celebrities, a lot of athletes, and I just have this thing about not being too starstruck. I try to be cool. I've met Michael Jordan a bunch of times. He would have gladly signed anything I had, but I never asked. I just didn't want to do that. And, out here in California, it's the same thing. If somebody comes in, if Aaron Rodgers brings a date out for dinner, I'm like, all right, right this way, here you go. I did the same thing. I saw before I moved to California, John Travolta came in and to one of my restaurants in Wilmington. He has a house there, vacations there a lot, has like a private helicopter that drops him in or whatever. He came into the place with a couple of people and their kid, and I'm like, "What's up?" Recognized him right away, took him right to the table. "Here you go, enjoy your dinner." Shook his hand and got the fuck out of there. Give them a space. They have enough shit to deal with in their lives and everything. So, to me, I've just always been able to handle it well, and I just haven't. I just believe in not being that annoying fan that just runs right up and bothers them. "Give me a picture so I can tweet it," or whatever the fuck. I'm not like that. If I have the opportunity to meet somebody and get a picture, great. But I'm not going to push it, and I'm not going to be annoying, and I'm not going to give the guy, the wrestler, any reason to tell me to fuck off. Especially at my age now, I feel like I'm an adult, and if I meet somebody, I want to shake their hand. I'm like, "Hey, I'm a big fan. Appreciate your career. How you doing? What are you up to these days?" And maybe if I'm lucky, talk about some old times and some of my memories and what I appreciated of them. But for the most part, I don't hassle them too much. Part of that's because I'm shy, but at the same time, it's just because I don't, I don't believe in bothering people. If I was famous like that, I wouldn't want to be bothered 24/7. I can see Tommy Dreamer being a nice guy, yeah. Do I like Faith No More? Yeah, I like Faith No More. I remember them. The Paw, you're a younger fan, but personal goal is to meet Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. They were your guys growing up. Man, you must be young. They were your guys. That feels like yesterday. That feels like current times to me. But yeah, you're pretty young. I'm sure you will. Just keep an eye out. Check autograph signings and stuff. They're always doing something. You can meet one pretty easily. They'll swing through your town at some point. You'll get a chance to shake their hand. I promise you that. Just got to do a little work. What makes Bret Hart my favorite wrestler? A lot of things. I just latched onto him at a young age. I loved the Hart Foundation tag team. I don't know why. And I remember when I was like maybe 10, whatever the fuck, 11, and my friend and I, my next door neighbor and I, we would have matches on this trampoline, and we would always be the Hart Foundation. We'd wrestle with like other neighborhood kids. A lot of people have stories. This was like backyard wrestling before backyard wrestling existed, and if he did not let me be Bret Hart, I would not play. I'd go home. For some reason, I was like, I got to be Bret. I got to be Bret. You're the dude with the beard, and I just like Bret. And so when he became a singles wrestler, it was a dream come true for me. So I think at just an early age, I started watching guys like Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair, and seeing their matches and preferring that stuff over Hogan, even though I very much liked WWF and I liked Hogan and I liked that presentation. I liked the smaller wrestler. I liked the matches that were exciting. That's why I like tag team wrestling. I loved watching the Hearts and the Bulldogs and the Bees and the Rougeaus and the Can-Ams and teams like that because of the wrestling. I was just fascinated with it at a young age. So when Bret became a singles, I really liked him. And then the minute he beat Mr. Perfect, that was it for me. If he wasn't already my favorite by that point, I just never thought Bret would amount to anything. I never thought Bret would ever win a major title. To me, he was destined to be tag team champion or a jobber to some mid-level talent. That was it. So when he won that Intercontinental title, I'm like, holy shit, the guy I liked actually is getting put over, and I was fucking happy as hell. And from then on, I was a die-hard Bret Hart fan. And his work was incredible. I mean, Jesus. Fucking, he's so smooth, so good. Such a great storyteller. His shit was believable. You know, his dad, not the worst reputation in the world. Same thing with the family. And in his fucking blood, man. He was destined to be the man. And he was. How many feet did Texas Tornado have? Oh, you mean... Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah, one. Well, Kerry Von Erich lost his foot. And he was wrestling with half a foot for his last few years there. Yes, I am 40-something. That's all I'm going to tell you. Early 40s, though. I'm young. Yeah, exactly. Anybody that can get away with wearing pink is likable. And Bret did. Bret pulled it off. That pink and black was a good look. The pink and black with the fucking shades and the hair and the jacket and the belt. Oh, my God. What a great look. I was fucking in love with that look. I actually have a leather jacket. The funny thing is, let me look, see if you can see it in the... Yeah, you can. So behind me is actually a leather jacket because this chair that I'm in, I've had for like 12 fucking years, and it's so comfortable, but it's so fucking worn out. And it looks such like shit. It would be nothing for me to go and just fucking spend $100 and buy a new one. But for some reason, I'm used to it. I've had it forever, but it's so torn up now. I just put an old leather jacket that I... back when leather jackets were in style, it's been sitting in my closet for years, and just draped it over the back here so it actually looks like a leather chair. Otherwise, it just looks like shit if I were to take that jacket off. But man, I should put that jacket on and throw that Winged Eagle title over my shoulder. Play a little Bret Hart music. You guys want to see it? No, I'm not doing that. Got a 39-year-old in the house. What's up, man? You're like me, 70s baby. It's kind of scary to think that we were born just a few years after the Beatles broke up. Or after the moon landing. Jesus Christ. Elvis was still alive, for fuck's sake. Or at least with me. Why don't I do vlogs? I don't know. It's too much. I don't think I'd be able to keep up with it. And how the fuck do you do it? Just on your phone? The only thing I have for cameras is my phone, which is a nice phone. It's an iPhone 7 something or whatever. And my webcam, which my webcam is good. And my microphone is good. So I guess I could do vlogs like this, but what's the point? What am I going to talk about? All right, let me check everything else. We're looking good. Did I spell everything right this week? I put this screen together so quick. Remember a couple weeks ago I misspelled Sheamus on my screen? Yeah, Starrcade, Owens 3. All right, we look good. Spelling is right. A couple times I've, after I've done a whole edit on a podcast and I'll render it and I'll save it, I'll realize I made a mistake, and it's like, it's either just go in and fix it and then do it all again or just fucking upload it and say fuck it. And sometimes I just say fuck it. I know, but I think of vlogs like other people who do vlogs. You're like, get your webcam and record it. I understand that. For some reason in my head, I'm thinking people who do vlogs are like out and about. You know, some people do vlogs in their car or at this fucking store. Or, I'm doing this today or whatever the fuck. Like, I just think of something that you have to do like on the go. But if I just sit here and talk every day, I don't have time for that, unfortunately. Would love to. Hey, if I get my Patreon page up and running, I start doing some more with that, and I can get this channel, and people will support me, and this can be a part of my income, then yeah, vlogs will come in the future. But until I can make a living doing this, I can't really do too much more. That's a interesting question. Peter Ross, I was listening to the Don Tony and Kevin Castle show, and they played voicemails sent in the day Eddie Guerrero passed away. Were you one of the people who sent one in? Probably not. I don't think I was even talking to Don Tony at that point, because I knew him like in the late 90s. If I did, I would have addressed myself in those voicemails as Greg from North Carolina. That's what I would call myself. Because anytime I did, that's what I said. So if you heard those and you heard somebody say, this is Greg from North Carolina, then it was me. But I don't remember calling and doing that, no. Hector Amaya, I don't know. Does anybody in WWE listen to your commentaries? I have no idea. Probably not. Maybe some wrestlers do, but who knows? I doubt it. Yeah, Peter, you may have. I don't. That's the thing. I don't think that doesn't sound like something I would have done in 2005. Is call him and leave a message, but I can't rule it out either. I honestly don't remember. But like I said, if you hear a message from Greg from North Carolina, that's me. Anyone else? Nope. Ooh, Elvis died on your birthday. That's crazy. Owens and Zayn for tag champs? Yeah, if anybody's going to knock off the Usos, they should be the ones. We just curious if they're like in trouble or not. Let's go to Twitter. See if anybody has anything to say on Twitter. I might think about signing off soon. It's 10:30 here, local time. What are we looking at for audience? You guys still here? Damn, 150. So basically the same amount as we've had the whole night is still here. Will Motorhead be inducted into Celebrity Wing of the Hall of Fame? Yeah, they probably will be. They should be. Triple H will make sure that gets done. I have no doubt about it. All right. So we got some people in here. I guess I'll hang around and talk a little more. What's our time up to? 2:11. Well, should we go 2.5, I guess? I'm going to have to piss again. Am I a Christmas guy? Not really. I enjoy being with my family, and I think it's an awesome time for everybody to be around, but I'm not religious, so I'm not... Christmas for me symbolizes just kind of being around your loved ones type of thing. I do like that tradition, and I have great memories of Christmas growing up and stuff, and, Christmas will always be special to me despite... I think it's just the holiday, it's the family time that means more to me, because I'm not really a churchgoer or anything like that. Do I like being bald? Do I wish I had hair? I do like being bald. Being bald is awesome. I used to have hair. As a matter of fact, did you guys see the picture I tweeted? Let me see if I can find it. You want to see me with hair, motherfuckers? All right, are you ready to be blown away? So this would have been freshman year in college. My friend sent me this. I didn't even have this picture. She sent it. And I put it on Twitter, and you guys freaked out. Is it going to let me put this in here? Look at this shit. Get a load of that. Huh? Yeah, that's me. That's him. That's me. So it would get longer than that. Actually, I would grow it really long to where I'd have it like in a ponytail. I would dare say my hair was about as long as Shawn Michaels. This was when I first started growing it. I would have been 18 in this picture. Man, that was a long time ago. That was a long time ago. Hanging out at the beach with my friends, and one of them snapped a picture of me. And she found it and put it on my Facebook page not long ago, a few weeks back. And I was like, holy shit. So anyway, there I am with hair. Let's get that out of here. That's scary to look at. Not quite that young anymore. Those were the days, man. But yeah, I really enjoy being bald because, I just like, I got a lot of shit to do, so I like waking up and being ready, and you roll out of bed, jump in the shower, take a bar of soap with you, fucking throw your pants and t-shirt on and get out the door. You're done. No hair to comb, no hair to blow dry, no hair to shampoo, no hair to do anything with. So it's very convenient, if you can pull it off. My friend, I think I'd even told the story before. One of my buddies, he's got this just giant watermelon-sized head, and he knows it. And he's going bald. He's losing his hair. And he's like, I can't shave my head. He goes, it's not going to look right. And I kind of looking at him, I'm like, yeah, you might be right. But I'm like, you got to do something, though. But he laughs. He's like, God damn it. He goes, I just wish I had a better shaped head. You know, but somebody like Stone Cold Steve Austin, he looks perfect with a bald head. All the comments of my hair are coming through now. That's funny. But 18 is I might have been 19. I don't even remember what year that picture was taken. But whatever the age was, it was definitely pre-20, whatever it was. Eric Watts, you look like a member of Techno Team 2000. I know Eric Watts was one of those guys. I don't remember who the other one was. I have no idea. Look, like a lot of Kurt Cobain. I never got that before. Really? Kurt Cobain? Interesting. Everybody's saying it. Jesus. I guess you're right. That's about the same length hair. I would have longer hair, but the funny thing is every picture I have of myself with long hair, it's in a ponytail. You can't even tell. It just looks like I look the same. So I have very few pictures because back then, like I said, there was no iPhones. It was just fucking, I didn't even have a camera. The only cameras I would have if I bought a disposable one, you know, the ones that you would just use up and then you take to get developed. So I don't have a lot of pictures of me just like with long hair. It's one of my biggest regrets is that I just wish technology was better when I was younger, because I would have taken a lot more pictures. But I was just not a good picture taker. I never was. Never had a camera on me, never cared. I'd go out and have countless birthdays and parties and moments with friends and family and didn't document any of it. Same thing with wrestling shows. The funny thing is I would take disposable cameras to the wrestling shows, but they would never come out very good. Even if they had a flash, they would be so dim. I've got hundreds of them, and you know, out of 400 pictures I might have that I took, you know, maybe 30 are, you know, usable where you can actually see what the fuck's going on. And I'll pull some of those out because some of the shows I've talked about that I've been to, the first ever Inferno match and the midget Bret Hart and shit like that, I have pictures of all that stuff. It's just really, really faded. So maybe I should scan them and try to edit them and brighten them up a little bit. Well, I'm glad people think I'm sexy. That's nice of you. Oh, that's Savage Acorn. I'm going to let you slide on that one. That's bad. If I removed a chunk of my head, I'd look just like Kurt. I ain't going to block you for that. That would be a good joke at one of those Comedy Central roasts, that's for sure. Thoughts on the NWO? That's a broad question. Oh, Sunny, 702. Thoughts on the Bludgeon Brothers? I mentioned them in my last commentary. Not too impressed yet, but maybe feel a little bit better than I did originally. I didn't like the promos, the vignettes. I thought they were just hokey as hell. Really hokey. And those dumb-looking, cartoony-ass sledgehammer things. But when they debuted on SmackDown, I was kind of okay. Like, their music feels like something that will grow on me. Luke Harper looked to be in amazing shape. I thought that was awesome. But I'm worried they're on the same brand as fucking Breezango. And before you know it, they're going to be backstage in one of those Fashion Files segments. Excuse me, and the whole thing's going to be a joke. Yes, Barry. Barry MK, you say a lot in here. For those of you who don't know, I met Barry in Hawaii this past summer. I was staying on the same island he was at. He drove all the way down to my resort and met me. Good to see you. Have I ever tried to smash 2 beers and drink it like Stone Cold? Yes, I have. I absolutely have. Back when I was younger. And back when Stone Cold was on top. Hell, man, I never even had a Polaroid. Oh, no, maybe they were Polaroids. Whatever those yellow-ass disposable cameras were, that's what I had back in the day. No, I've never bought any Bootios. Your wife thinks I'm sexy? That's good. Tell her what's up. It's how you doing, baby? Who says how you doing? Joey from Friends. How you doing? Yeah. Oh, those are some interesting comments too. God, you guys are... Some of y'all are disturbed. Hey, man, some of y'all be disturbed and shit. Some of the shit y'all are saying in here. God damn. Fucking talking about how big my dick is and your wife likes me and... What the hell? Hands off the merchandise. There's some more southern accent for you. You guys seem to like that earlier on. I don't know how it sounds on YouTube. In my head, it sounds good. All right, let's go back to Twitter. What's going on? Not much. Is there any news on the broken stuff? Have you guys read any internet stories? Pull up a website and tell me if there's anything cool on there. You know, one thing I did see, and I'm going to try to keep track of it this year in 2018, the pay-per-view schedule. Interesting story. They've cut back a little bit. I think they shaved 2 or 3 pay-per-views off of the 2018 schedule. So we have 14 pay-per-views for the year, which is not bad. Considering there's 2 brands, 12 seems all you need, but WWE, it's better than going 2 a month every month. So I think May and September, I forgot the 2 months that have 2 pay-per-views, but every other month just has 1. So there's some nice gaps there between pay-per-views, especially like Raw goes a span there with a couple months between a pay-per-view. SmackDown does the same thing, so I think that's really good. Good decision. If it was up to me, just do 12. Alternate the Raw and SmackDown pay-per-views, and then have the big 4 be co-branded. And that's another thing I wanted to bring up. Money in the Bank, I think, is going to be, am I right about this? It's going to be a co-branded pay-per-view now? That's interesting. It's interesting if they don't do 2 Money in the Banks. I don't want that. I think there should be 1 briefcase holder for the entire company, and then you can decide which brand you want to have that briefcase holder on. I think 2 briefcases is too much. Now they have a women's briefcase. I think that's too much. That would be 3 briefcases, and then if they did a women's and men's for both brands, now it's 4 briefcases. So let's pray that that's not going to fucking happen. What I would like to see happen is to have 1 Money in the Bank match with Raw and SmackDown guys both participating. And whoever wins gets the title shot against anybody. How cool. I mean, the rule is probably going to be the winner gets the title shot against the champion of their brand whenever they choose. But if they want to be really fun, that briefcase holder can be a free agent. And he can show up on either show to challenge either champion. I think that would be fun because that doubles your suspense. That doubles your anticipation, because now for every single pay-per-view, regardless of what brand it is, that guy has a chance to cash in. That would be fun. So as far as the pay-per-view schedule goes, I think that would be a good idea. Man, I'm having fun. You guys want to go a little bit longer? Let me look at my audience again. If we do, I got to take another break to get another frosty brew. Yeah, we still got 150 of you watching. Might as well. You guys into that? You guys cool with it? Thumbs up? Hose down? Whatever the fuck it's called. Let's give you guys something else to look at here. Let me look here. Let's find something fun. Here's another piece of fan art that I really liked. Cannot remember who made this off the top of my head, although I do have it written down somewhere. I would give you credit for it. But it's this awesome... Oh, shit. It's this awesome... Oh, shit. I'm messing it up. Where am I going? How about we just remove this? Sorry, guys. I don't know what I'm doing. Look at that. It's like a Nitro logo. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I forget who tweeted me that or they Facebooked it to me. But I appreciate it. Y'all want anything? How about some waffles? Alright, be right back. I'm back. Better than ever. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. Let's turn Bret Hart off. How funny is that we're listening to Hart Foundation music? But anyway, figured I'd go for a little while longer. Why not, right? So, might as well. Oh, this is terrible. I'm out of Stella's. I had to drink this other shit that's in my fridge. Don't really like it, but I'm drinking it anyway. My nice koozie with a skull on it. Wife loves the skulls. Yeah, I'll get you some waffles and bacon. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I didn't have that. Am I centered? Yeah, I am. Hold on a minute. There we go. I felt like I moved some shit around when I was doing that. But yeah, I really liked this logo. And I got a bunch of them. Like, I get shit like this all the time. But this was a cool logo. And there's a couple of other ones that you guys have done for me over the years. That one was definitely one of my favorites. And then this one, too. This WrestleMania one, I always really liked. And like I said, I have the names of these people who made these for me. I just don't have them in front of me. I would definitely give them credit, but I've definitely showed them love on social media in the past when they sent these to me. I thought it was really cool. So I've really acquired a lot of like fan art over the years. You guys just sending me all sorts of different like logos and shit, and all sorts of cool stuff. So I always appreciate that. But let's go back to the chat and see if you guys want to ask any other questions. Let's just talk here. What's our time going on? 2:25? 2 hours and 25 minutes? Stream is good. We got 150 of us still. How many people left when I went and took a piss? Only a few. Oh, more people showed up. Apparently me pissing gets ratings. Likes are low. You guys want to hook me up with some likes? I got 77 likes on this right now. Let's do some more. We need more than that. I want like 1 million likes. Can you guys hook me up with that? 1 million? Oh, there we go. We already got a couple more already. So, okay. But, yeah, the likes could be better on this one. But, yeah, whatever. We're just shooting the shit. GoodMicWork is still in his infancy as it comes to, as it relates to these live streams. Still trying to find my niche here. And this is all still practice just for me to get better and to where I can start doing other more fun videos. What are you guys saying on Twitter and in the chat? Let's do a combination of both here. Scroll down to the chat. Oh, 3 hours. I don't know if I can do... Well, I guess I can if I've been 2.5 at this point. Maybe 3 hours is a good cutoff point. You're probably right. Colin Wright, have never watched much of CZW. No, I have not. Clips here and there, but not really familiar with the promotion at all. Nothing too new on Twitter. Jacob the Zombie Fighter, you are an awesome listener. I think I follow you, don't I? At Zombie Fighter 89 on Twitter. What is my favorite something to wrestle with episode? There's been a lot of good ones. I don't know which one I liked. I like some of the more recent ones they did. They just they talked about Bret Hart's last 2 years in the company recently. I think I liked like the Roddy Piper episode. I liked the DiBiase episode. I liked the Rick Rude episode. There's been a lot of them that I've liked. Off the top of my head, those are some of my favorites. Favorite snack food of choice? Jesus, I don't know if I even have one. I like a lot of snack foods. Probably just like, I don't know, fucking chips and salsa or something. I'm pretty easygoing. I make really good salsa. I can make a fucking amazing pineapple salsa. You guys would jizz yourself. Fucking delicious. Power Spin 1 Games. What was your reaction to the Shockmaster's debut like? I didn't see the Shockmaster live. I think I saw it... When did I see it? I saw it right after. I mean, I saw it like recent... but I don't think WCW was really replaying it, so I don't remember when the fuck I saw it. But I remember it at the time. But of course, I thought that my reaction to it was, holy shit. And I knew it was. I knew it was fucking Fred. Tugboat. And when he fell like that, I'm like, God damn. Still one of the funniest things. I mean, I feel so bad because I wish it just would have happened to a douchebag. I wish some asshole like Ken Patera or Shawn Michaels or some guy that I just hated, right? Ole Anderson. I wish he would have fallen through that fucking wall. Instead, it has to be just a nice sweetheart of a man like Fred Ottman going through there. Poor guy. But WCW, man, what a fucking mess. All they did was spray paint Stormtrooper's helmet. What the fuck? Or put glitter on it or some shit. Oh, man. Let's see if we got any more Twitter questions. You know, a lot of thoughts on, a lot of comments on Finn Balor, Ugly Boy at Twitter at Guillermo Sevi. Jesus, I'm probably saying that wrong too. Since Finn Balor is not winning the Royal Rumble main event, or not in the Royal Rumble main event against Brock, do you think Roman versus Finn versus Joe in a triple threat match for the IC title would be good or make sense? Yeah, that would be okay. I would like to see Finn Balor do something. Shit, I mean, I don't know how true this story is about Vince McMahon thinking he's not over or souring on him or whatever the deal was. There was rumors that he was going to go into Royal Rumble to face Brock for the title. That apparently is not the case anymore. And there's rumors as to why that is. Vince McMahon doesn't like him. Creative is soured on him. Management doesn't think he's over for whatever fucking reason. I don't know. Fans, to me, seem to cheer the fuck out of him. He's got one of the most epic entrances we've ever seen. Him and Nakamura got a huge pop at Survivor Series, being in the ring together. I don't know why WWE thinks that, but it makes sense that they don't, because this is the way they fucking do things. But it's whatever he does from here, you know, put a belt on the guy. Has he held anything yet other than that Universal title, right? And the NXT title, of course. So give him a run with the IC belt. Yeah, how you get it on him, I don't know. Maybe Joe beats Roman for it. Balor beats Joe for it. Maybe Balor and Finn work WrestleMania for the IC title. That's very possible. So I'd be fine with that. I mean, to me, Finn Balor has really never gotten his due back from having to forfeit the Universal title, because Brock has been holding it all this time, and Goldberg. And, you know, it's time that Finn gets back in the mix, but apparently WWE is not into it for whatever reason. Carol, apparently Dave got it wrong just for a change. Not sure what you mean about that. Maybe the Finn Balor story. I don't know. Brian Spencer, if Rey Mysterio didn't win the 2006 Royal Rumble, who do you think should have? That's a good question. At that time, who was on top? God, I was starting to get out of it. Eddie had just died. I was barely watching. He eliminated Triple H last, maybe. Beat Orton and Angle at WrestleMania for the title. So who was the champion? Was it Randy Orton or was it Kurt Angle? I don't even remember who the champion was going into that match. So given who those guys were, there was the brand split to think about too. I can't even remember who was on which brand. So if it was up to me, who would win the Rumble at that time? Yeah, Triple H challenged Cena, so I can't see anybody on the Raw side of it. Man, I don't fucking know. I don't know who would have challenged. I mean, I guess maybe Kurt Angle or Randy Orton would have had to win the Royal Rumble. I don't remember who the fucking champion was. Part of me wants to say it was Kurt Angle, but I don't know. Oh, Edge is a good suggestion as well. Yes, you're right. Edge is a good suggestion. Oh, here's another one of my favorite logos, actually. This one. And again, I forget who sent me that. I'm putting that up there for a reason. You guys probably know why. Trying to keep this PG. Don't want anybody's parents to think that they're watching a corrupt show. You're not. Anyway. Family Guy or The Simpsons? Family Guy. I love The Simpsons, though. But Family Guy... You know what I really liked is the episode that they combined them. And they did the joint production. That was great. The way they were able to merge those two animations was amazing. But I don't watch enough of either show to know much about them. Like, I watch Family Guy in syndication. I watch The Simpsons from time to time. I have a lot of friends that are die-fucking-hard Simpsons fans. But I think I preferred Family Guy, just the dialogue and the shit that they talk about and the subtle jabs at society and shit in there that McFarlane does is brilliant shit. No, it was not a joint. I'm much classier than that. This is California, man. You got some good shit out here. No, I can't. Maybe I can. You guys... Yeah, there's a little bit left. I don't know. Got a bunch, but man, California is the fucking best, man. They give... Every time they come, they give me this little fucking thing of keef. Every fucking order I make, there's a new one. A new little thing stuck in there, so... California's the best, man. Shit comes to your front door. You know what I do? I text, boop, 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 boop. 20 minutes later, knock on the door, here it is. And I'm lighting up. Yeah. Oh no, I don't watch them either. Rick and Morty. And my friends hate me for it. They're like, Greg, what the fuck's your problem? Yes, of course. What the fuck do you take me for? Of course I have a grinder. Shit's badass, too. I have a few of them, but it's my nicer one. Tupac or Biggie? Tupac. Like Biggie, but preferred Tupac. West Coast, man. You know, it's funny. I was watching one of Vince... I don't know why, but I was watching one of Vince Russo's shows. And the funny thing is, I like kind of Vince Russo, sort of. I mean, I understand like everything people say about Vince Russo totally. But I've interacted with him a couple of times on Twitter, and he's always been really cool. So I don't want to shit on him too hard, even though I know that Russo is Russo. But I watched one of his videos once, and he just fucking lit up a fat-ass bowl right there on camera. And I'm like, I don't know if I have the guts to do that in front of my people, but, you know, it's no secret. I just don't believe in flaunting it. I watched a shoot interview, too, with Kendrick and London, like years ago. Brian Kendrick, Paul London, after they left the WWE. And they are just sitting there token up, both of them, throughout the entire shoot interview. And it's on video, like on DVD that you sell. And I'm like, that's pretty fucking crazy. Hello from West Texas. How are you? You should have been here earlier, man. I was speaking all this southern shit, talking about grits and biscuits, and here you are, Texas boy, coming in here a little late. You could have heard me talk about tractors and fucking all sorts of shit. Now my goddamn kitty cat's meowing. What's up, buddy? Can you shut up? I'm doing a live show. Yeah. Joe Cronin's in the house. What's up, buddy? Vince has been cool. He called my show a few times just because he was listening. Oh, I thought you meant Vince McMahon. I'm like, Vince McMahon's calling your show? You mean Russo? Yeah, Russo. At the end of the day, I got no problem with him, Joe. Good to see you in here, by the way. I stop by your shows every now and then. Hey, buddy. Cat's walking in my lap. But yeah, Joe Cronin is here. If you guys haven't checked him out, go sub his channel. He's always cool to me. I am not, I am not friends with RVD, but we should be friends. Me and RVD, me and Sean Morley, and probably a couple other guys too, should be BFFs. BFFFs. Best fucking friends forever, man. Joe, are you serious? Or am I stupid? You said JD's cat is dying? I really hope not. That's sad. This guy in my lap right here, he better not die. And the little shithead's 8 years old. Look at this fucker. Say hi, buddy. Yeah, he says hi. He's got to be in my lap at all times. I'm surprised he left me alone this fucking long. But I got two of them running around the house here. Because I live in California. I live in a really busy neighborhood. I live 3 floors up. I love dogs. I want a dog. I'm a dog person, but I don't have the lifestyle for a dog right now to give it the proper exercise, the proper love that it needs. But I still love animals, and I still want to have a companion around the house. So settled on cats, because they shit in a box, and I can leave them alone for like 3 days at a time, and they're fine. Anyway. What are you saying, Joe? In the background, yeah. Good to see you in here, though, chatting, bringing some people in here. Me and you, we're overdue, dude. We got to do some sort of a show. We need to do like a live show together where we chat 90s wrestling or some shit. Or maybe you can come on here and we can talk about Raw one night. Or I can go over to you. Totally be interested in that. Yeah, Val Venus. You guys check out what Val Venus is up to lately. Holy shit. Go look at his Twitter. See what the big Valboski has been up to in his spare time. And you might be able to see why he and I are friends. I'm sorry to hear that, Noah. Your dog passed away. Your dog, Phil. That's a cool name for a dog. Phil passed away 3 months ago, 14 years old. Oh, that's heartbreaking. He lived a good life, though, man. 14 is good for a dog. My friend named his dog Kevin. And I haven't seen another regular named dog in a while. Phil is a cool name for a dog. But he would trip me out. Like, the dog would meet people, and he'd go up and pet him, and they'd say, oh, what's his name? And he's like, oh, that's Kevin. And I just thought that was such a brilliant name for a dog. But sorry for your loss. Oh, man. I did see the beef between Joe and Jim Cornette. Joe's response was pretty good. Oh, what do you see? Yeah, I got to agree. You kind of won the argument on that one, Joe. Faux show. Let's see what else we got here. Sorry, I'm pausing now because there's so much activity all of a sudden in the chat. You want a dog named Herman, but it hasn't happened yet? Hey, Joe, did Joe do a live show tonight? Did you do a Corrupted or anything like that? Curious to know your thoughts on this fucking show. I mean, aside from Broken Matt, like, what are we jerking off over? Nothing. Nice. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate the kind words. Yeah, I'm totally into it. I think it's good for the community. You know, that's one of the things you said to me like a year ago when we worked together briefly. We were talking before we went on air, and you were like, you know, it's just good for like the community because there's so many people that flip around to me and you and everybody else. And from their perspective, if two people can get together, that's probably a pretty cool thing to see. So, yeah, I'm totally down. I'm totally down with that. We got to work that out soon. DM me. All right, you finished your Raw review too. Yeah, I'm still going. For some reason, I just sitting here and knocking back a few cold ones, and I'm gone 2 hours and 41 minutes, and I'm still going. And I'm like, fuck it. They seem to be into it. Plus, I'm practicing. I've never done this shit before. And this is better for me and you. I remember the first time we did a video together, I was talking on my phone. I didn't even have my microphone hooked up or anything. So I am illiterate as hell when it comes to that. Just checking some numbers here, see what we're looking at now. People still watching? Kind of. I got enough in here to keep it going anyway, so that's cool. Yeah, when I finally edit this, or when I finally stop this and it goes to YouTube, it's going to be 3 hours long. I'm recording the whole thing too. But yeah, it's been fun tonight so far. And that's the cool thing. We got to make our own good time, right? You know, Raw wasn't the greatest show in the world, so we got to figure out something to do. So let's just sit here and talk wrestling. This little bastard, by the way, if you're noticing my arm moving, it's because he is still here and he's just in my lap. Will you go now? Can you leave? No? I want to stay. All right. He's hanging out. Would like for him to leave, though. Yeah, Raw gave you AIDS. Nah, maybe not that bad. Wasn't great. I'll definitely agree with that. And I'm really worried about SmackDown tomorrow. Yes, Grizzly, I do. Even better than a fucking pizza. Oh, man. Joe Cronin, cook that world title belt in your oven. I could cook. I could probably make it taste good. Something like that would need to be cooked slowly. Have to be braised over a long period of time. I'd say beef stock, bottle of red wine, bunch of butter, Maybe some herbs like sage, a lot of black pepper, a lot of salt. Cover it with some tin foil, put it in the oven for a day and a half. Shit will be pretty fucking tender, man. Probably tastes pretty good too. Does anybody watch on YouTube? Anybody watch the LA Beast? He is one of my favorite fucking guys. It's just where my life is, folks. I watch a guy eating the craziest shit, and he eats some fucking crazy shit. But he's the most fun-loving, happy person. Check him out on YouTube, LA Beast. He's got a different username, Skippy something or other. Skippy62Able. He eats some awesome shit, and he's fucking so funny. And I just like him. He's responded to me a couple times on Twitter, and I just think the guy's fucking hilarious and crazy and a little bit psychotic, but in the most lovable, awesome way. And see some of the shit he eats. I think he tried to cook his shoe and eat his shoe. He might even eat his... He said he might eat his phone. That would be crazy. Eat his whole cell phone. Insane. Strap a la carte. Yeah, my recipe was good, right? How do you cook title belt? Yeah. Next WWE cookbook. How to cook your replica belt. How to make your replica belt delicious. I can see it right now. That's an interesting comment. If I ever hit 1 million subscribers, I should cook a title belt and do a meet and greet at the same time? Or you mean cook the belt and serve it to people that show up to the meet and greet? It's two interesting things. What food is my restaurant? What type of food does my restaurant serve? We are like a contemporary kind of semi-casual California bistro. We're in a very ritzy neighborhood, so our menu is very expensive, but our menu is also very, very good, diverse, versatile. You know, fish, steaks, chops, chicken, a couple of pastas, lots of great appetizers, specials, and we have an absolutely insane wine list. So we're awesome. I'm reading some of these comments here. Sorry, I'm running out of gas here. How are we going here? 2:45? Yeah, I'll keep going. Why not? I gotta get this cat out of my lap. All right, buddy, you gotta go. I'm sorry. Give me a goddamn cramp in my old age. Anyway. Joe, you're still here? I'm surprised you're like, this is boring as hell. I'm out of here. Edibles, yes, edibles are amazing. Here's the cool thing, and I'm sharing this only because it's 11 o'clock Pacific time, it's 2 a.m. Eastern, and I'm 3 hours in nearly to this stream, so only the loyal of loyalists are going to hear this. But yes, when I get cannabis delivered to my front door, it's insane. There's a million different dispensaries you can call. There's even an app that I have, Weed Maps. It gives you all the dispensaries, closest ones, daily specials, all the shit they got going on. I use several of them. One of my favorite ones is you just call them up or you text them or whatever the fuck you want to do. 30 minutes later, they're at your house and they show up. You know how a pizza shows up in those leather boxes? They pull out one of those, but inside the leather box is this giant spread of all these different strains. You got indicas, you got sativas, you got hybrids, and you got edibles out the ass. You got gummy bears, you got peanuts, you got popcorn, you got brownies, you got Rice Krispie treats, you've got other cereal bars. I've bought caramel corn. I've bought potato chips. Everything. Just, any edible, lollipops, chocolate, anything you can possibly fucking imagine. THC pills you can take. And so they open this big thing up, and then you get a bunch of shit, and then they give you a great deal on it, give you a few free gifts on the way out the door. Oh, here's a free coupon. Next time we come, you get a free eighth or something like that. It's fucking insane. Like, California is insane. And I've been here for going on 8 years or over 7 years now, and I'm still not used to it. I'm still like, this is fucking crazy. Where I come from, getting caught with just a little bit of weed in your pocket can land you in jail. And here they bring it to your fucking front door. I mean, damn. I ain't never leaving this place. San Diego. I highly recommend it. Yes, I do. I know my restaurant is not in the Gaslamp District, but the Gaslamp District is fun. Been down there a lot. I hang out down there a lot if I go to like a Padres game or something. Justin Smith, I assume you're talking to Joe. Can you do a 9-hour show bashing Cornette? I don't agree with Cornette's beef with Joe Cronin, but aside from that, I've always been a Cornette fan, so I'm not going to do a 9-hour show bashing him. Jesus Christ, these cars. I live in like a really nice neighborhood, but I still get these loud-ass cars. I don't understand the muffler, the big giant muffler that's so fucking loud. What's the point of that? I don't care how small your dick is. That is not necessary. Fucking crazy. Not really. Cali is not that overcrowded, not where I am. I live in San Diego, and we have our traffic issues and stuff like that, but just like the part of town that I live in, overcrowding is not an issue for me. Sorry, I got cat hair in my fucking mouth now because the fucking cat was sitting in my lap. See, that's what's cool about you, Joe. You're like, I still like Jim anyway. And when I saw your response to him, you were so balanced with you're like, hey, you're a dumb motherfucker for saying this, but at the same time, you're like, I don't know what the hell this guy's problem is. I've always been a fan of him. I've always put him over. I've always treated him with respect when I met him. You know, he didn't like, I can't remember what the hell started it now, but you know, whatever the hell it was, you're like, Jesus, I don't even know what the hell's going on here. I've always liked Cornette. So, you know, at least you're not like, die, Cornette, die. You understand Cornette is who he is. Cornette is Cornette. And he hates a lot of people for no reason. I mean, for some reason, he doesn't like, I think the Young Bucks, right? He doesn't like Kenny Omega. I don't think he likes Kevin Owens. There's a lot of guys that are really good and really respected and really successful in the business that he fucking hates for some reason. You know, just because of personal heat, and he allows himself to get so caught up in the shit all the time. Freaks out. Fucking ridiculous. Do you want to move? Should you move to San Diego or should you move to Tampa? San Diego. Tampa's fine. Florida's cool, but I'm a fan of I like the Atlantic coast of Florida more than the Gulf Coast. And Tampa does have some dirtier areas. Clearwater is over there too, by Tampa. So it's not like a horrible place. It's just I prefer the other side. But between the two cities, no comparison. San Diego beats Tampa Bay by a million miles, and I've been to both. Yeah, right. See, Joe, at least you can appreciate that. You know, Cornette's very similar to you, you know, personality-wise, and you can relate to that. So at least you understand. So I get it. Let's go over to Twitter, see if anybody's talking shit over here. Oh, you're welcome for the shout out. No problem. Yeah, Jason Halinka on Twitter at JasonTH. Dilapidated boat and Senior Benjamin appearing on Raw is a very good possibility. I really hope so. I mean, can they call him Senior Benjamin if they do? I mean, I hope so. I hope they don't have to change everything around. I hope he doesn't have to be woken and it's got to be like Mr. Benjamin or some shit. The cat just jumped off the background. That's where I have their food up here, so I let them eat over here. That's why if one of them's jumping up there, it's because he's shoveling food into their fat face. Right? Yeah, if you live in Florida, you'll get WrestleMania every 2 years. If San Diego would build a better arena, I guess they could do Petco. Petco would maybe not work for WrestleMania, though. There's not many seats in the outfield at Petco Park where the Padres play. It's more, it's all behind the bases, and then there's like an old building that was kind of grandfathered into the stadium. There's some seats up there, but it doesn't go all the way around, so they would have to add a lot to it to make that work, and it would be tough to put a WrestleMania at Petco. But if San Diego had a better stadium, like if the Chargers would have stayed here and built a better arena in the downtown area, we could get a WrestleMania every couple of years as well, because it never fucking rains here, and the weather will be perfect every year regardless on WrestleMania. No risk involved. Justin Smith, I explained why not dogs earlier on. Just don't have the lifestyle for a dog right now. I live on a top floor condo. The neighborhood is busy, and not a lot of time in my life to walk and give the dog the proper exercise and care that it needs. But I still love animals, so cats was the compromise. Yeah, Western Metal Supply Building. I'm trying to think of it. But going to Padres games are fun here in San Diego because the Padres are not very good. So when you go to a game, it's, especially if you don't go on a weekend, it's pretty empty in there. So, you can roam around. There's a lot, you got your privacy. I've gotten one of the suites, the skyboxes a few times, which if you get a bunch of people is not very expensive to rent and is a lot of fun. So baseball games can be fun, especially when your team sucks. It's not hard to get tickets. It's not hard to get in. It's cheap to go. And if you're just going there to hang out and socialize and have fun and drink and watch a baseball game and not really be too heartbroken if the Padres lose, because they're probably gonna, then it can be a lot of fun. So there is an upside to your team sucking. And that's one of the reasons. Otherwise, it would be, if we were a great team in first place all the time, it'd be sold out every night, it'd be a fucking madhouse, and you wouldn't even want to deal with it. Sorry, I'm sitting with my legs crossed in the chair now, trying to get comfortable. Been going a while now. Let me checking how everything looks. You know what's funny? In the background, it looks like my belts are like starting to fall backwards. I just propped them up in the background. Hopefully, I need to buy get a GoodMicWork banner made to where I can hang it behind me. Some sort of a logo. Yeah, let's all go to Lethal Leap Year. That's an excellent idea. Gabriel Palacios. If we all just got a bus trip to Lethal Leap Year, I'd be all for that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Padres, they played back at Qualcomm back in the day. Yeah, those are decent seats. Yeah, nothing's really changed. At Petco, they got fucking cat hairs everywhere. At Petco, tickets are not hard to get, and it's fun. Yeah, Joe, exactly. I cannot imagine. I mean, you live in fucking Boston. Going to Fenway? Jesus Christ. That's an experience. That's something I'd like to do. But yeah, I can imagine the ticket prices just for a regular season game are probably crazy. Here in San Diego, it's so nice here too to go to a game on just like a nice Tuesday evening in San Diego. You get the beautiful sunset in the background. It's just such a perfect city. Weather is awesome. And, there's just nothing better than a peaceful night at the ballpark. That's what you get in San Diego. A very peaceful vibe, peaceful atmosphere, a lot of beautiful women, and just things to do, fun entertainment, to where, some of those other cities like New York and Boston, they seem very angry, like a stressful environment. A lot of yelling, heckling, fans and people being mad and cheering wicked hard and all that shit. Where here in San Diego, everybody's like so fucking indifferent. It's the craziest thing. I guess that's why we don't have many pro teams here, is because nobody gives a shit. Oh, wow. Power spin. Goodbye. It's 7:13 in the morning in London. You're up listening? Wow. Good night. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I imagine. I mean, the Boston teams. I mean, Bruins. They're one of those original six. They got a history kind of like the Red Wings and the Blackhawks do, and the Patriots are who they are. The Celtics are back. Kind of in contention again. So I would imagine that any ticket for any sports team in Boston is going to be pricey. Yeah, man, don't even get me started on beer prices at ball games. Jesus. That's the one bad thing about going to a baseball game. You will pay a lot of money in beer. If you go get a round for your friends, I've gone a few times where I've gone with like 4 people, and I'm like, all right, I'll go get this round. 4 beers, and I'm like, all right, that's $78, and you're like, Jesus Christ. Oh, okay, that's good to know, Joe, about Boston. Yeah, it just seems like one of those cities, but yeah, I don't know because I've never been to Fenway. So back in '02 and '94, people were nuts. See, and you're saying it's a little bit more calm now in these days at Fenway. That's good. What's up, Birdman? Longtime fan. Good to see you in here. $11 beer. Yeah, fuck that. But I pay it every time. Fucking ridiculous. Oh my god. So one time at Petco here, I scored through a liquor rep at my business. He came in. He goes, you ever go to Padre games? I'm like, yeah. He goes, here, we have seasons tickets. We don't need them tonight. Do you want them? And I'm like, maybe. He goes, no, trust me, you want them. Gives them to me. I look at them. They're called Lexus Home Plate Club seats. So basically, these are private seats right behind home plate, or right behind ours, or it goes around all the way to like the on deck circle. And they are completely separated. Like you enter a different way. You don't even enter the stadium the same way as everybody else. You get there, you go through this private entrance. They whisk you underneath the building and then escort you to this big banquet hall where you sit there and there's this big giant buffet, like a carving station with sliced prime rib and all this elaborate food and this wonderful thing. And you fucking eat all this shit in there. And then a bunch of the umpires and shit are hanging out in there. And then if you go to the bathroom, you're sharing a bathroom with the umpires, which is insane. And so you eat this big, elaborate, delicious dinner. And then you don't pay for any of this, by the way. This is all included in the price of the ticket. And then they whisk you onto a secondary holding area where there's a full bar. You can sit at the bar, bartender pouring drinks for everybody. And these are very exclusive seats. So there's only like maybe a maximum of like 30 or 40 people there. Whatever you order to drink is completely free. It's just included. And they give you some drinks there. And then set aside is another spread of hot dogs, hamburgers, sushi, cookies, brownies, this whole fucking big thing. And then you go out of the door of that room and you go out to your seat. And you walk right through and now you're underneath all these seats above you. And you go right down and sit in your little front row seats there. And then they have servers come to you, ask you what you want, bring you whatever you want to eat or drink, no matter what it is. And it's just completely comped on the house. Fucking unbelievable. And it was one of the coolest ball game experiences I had because they just wait on you hand and foot. And here's the best part. When the game is over, the little bar underneath that is only open to the people that have these, nobody knows about it. It's underneath the building. When the game empties, or when the game leaves, you go into the bar and hang out while the arena empties out and the traffic goes away. The bar stays open for like another hour. They serve drinks. Everybody hangs out, chats, has a good time. And then when all the traffic leaves, they let you go. And it's like, they might as well just tickle your balls while they're at it because it's quite the fan experience. Fucking amazing. And I've only had it like one time. The price, I looked at the price of the ticket, they were like $600. And this fucker that owned this liquor company had seasons tickets. You know, every game of the year he had these seats. And so he would only be able to go sometimes. So the other times he'd give them away. But it was awesome. Oh, Jesus. What, man? Meowing again. Let me see how... Oh, we're over 3 hours now. I should probably wrap this up. I feel like I'm kind of rambling. What else you guys want to talk about before I sign off? I don't have to necessarily leave right this second, but I should be leaving soon. I've had enough beers. God damn. What's up, Delirium X? Big fan from Melbourne, Australia. Nice to see you. Gosh, a lot of people checking me out overseas are probably just waking up right about now. So yeah, for some of you it's early morning, and for me it's closing in on midnight, and I'm going to be going to hitting the hay soon. Yeah, I've spoken on Bruiser Brody a few times. Fucked up situation, man. Really fucked up. Oh. No, okay, you got to understand I've had about 5 beers now, so favorite Attitude Era moment. Too many to list. Something Austin related, for sure. Really liked, I've talked about this show a lot. I loved that show, the Monday Night Raw after King of the Ring 1998, when Kane won the belt in the first blood match and Austin won it back the next night. That promo with Kane and Vince and Austin, that was electric shit. And I was in the audience for This Is Your Life. I was at that show. And I was on the floor seats, and I watched that whole damn thing. I think that was the night after Unforgiven, because I was at Unforgiven 99. The Psycho 45, a lot of those old vids, my old uploads from like 2010, a lot of those are gone. I just got really nervous with the copyright stuff. You know, I was using some footage and stuff back then, and some of those commentaries were so prehistoric for me, you know, at the time, and I was really kind of learning the ropes, didn't know what I was doing, weren't very good, wasn't using a good microphone, Didn't really like them, even though they really got me on the map and a lot of the fans enjoyed them. I didn't want to risk the videos, getting taken down years later, and it caused a problem for my channel, so I just deleted them. They're all pretty much gone. Maybe I have them all saved on my computer. Maybe one day I'll re-upload them. But, for the most part, the ones that I thought would have issues, I took down. There might be some old ones left up there, but I went through all of them, took down the ones that I was worried that would get caught for something by YouTube, and I just didn't want to take the risk. I mean, you guys saw what I went through with all those DVD reviews, right? They all got taken down by fucking WWE, so I had to re-upload all of them. It was a pain in the ass. So that old shit, I was just like, yeah, just cut my losses, get rid of them. I didn't really come into my own here on the YouTube channel probably till like 2012, 2013 anyway. So some of those old ones I'm glad they're gone. I'm much better now. You guys don't want to hear that shit. If you heard that shit now, it's like, oh, God. He doesn't even sound like himself. Yeah, the Raw after Survivor Series 1998 was awesome. I like that show. I like The Rock's promo. No, that's a good idea. Put them on my Patreon site. That's possible. What are you saying? Paul Bear. Oh, DM23, Styles versus Nakamura at Mania. A lot of people have hinted to that. I'd be fine with it. Wouldn't be the worst match we've ever seen. That's for fucking sure. But they're on the same brand as it is, so, how much longer can they hold that off? So WrestleMania is a good place to pencil that in. Maybe one of them eliminates the other in the Royal Rumble, kick-starting the whole thing. Yeah, that Raw I was referring to was the Austin Stone Cold Zamboni incident. Or no, it wasn't. I'm sorry. That was not. Zamboni came later, a couple months later after I think Austin dropped the belt and Vince was about to award it to either Kane or Undertaker, and then he came out in the Zamboni. That was in Detroit. Fucking great. I reviewed that pay-per-view, actually. It's on my YouTube page, Survivor Series 98. I did it a couple years ago for Survivor Series. Yeah, I read that story about AJ Styles retiring in 2 years. I know he said that, but if you're healthy and you can do 450 splashes at age 42, then you'll wrestle to 43. Don't take that to the bank quite yet. Yeah, exactly. Breakdown. That's when the Zamboni was. Breakdown. That was the pay-per-view that Vince gave Austin the finger, remember, after the show? Yeah, Meltzer is Meltzer. I really don't have a problem with Meltzer, really. He's not that horrible of a person, but sometimes he tends to spin things or make up stories from time to time, but he's been a very reliable source of wrestling news for a lot of fans for many, many, many years. I mean, The Observer is quite the publication there, and it's had a long history, and Meltzer's, Meltzer's not a guy to, not take seriously. He has a lot of contacts in the business and stuff. But, I understand the criticisms of Meltzer at the same time. No, I've never been to Spring Hill, Florida. Where is that? Let's see what else we got. How are you guys feeling? I'm getting fucking tired. I should get out of here. All right, I'm just checking Twitter. There you go. I'll be sure to read that in a minute there, Joe. Yeah, a lot of people hate Meltzer. Yeah, I understand. Slayer, kind of indifferent to them. Oh, I don't know. Psycho 45, I don't know who you're referring to there. The Law, never heard of them. Canadian Wrestling Radio Show, I guess I've never heard of them. They were awesome. They got canned on Halloween. I don't know the story on that. What else can we talk about? Feels like we're dying here. We're dying. What else you guys want to mention? Jesus, how long have I talked? 3 hours? This is the longest live stream I've done so far. I kind of had a feeling I was going to. I tweeted out earlier in the day, and I tweeted out yesterday that I'm going to be up here to do a live stream. And all day long, I was like, I'm going to bust out a long one. So I'm glad that I did. Why don't we go to 3 hours and 15 minutes and call it a night? So I'll go like 7 more minutes, and we'll finish up and finally wrap this up. It was a lot of fun. So let's go down to the chat here. If you guys want to ask anything, now's the time. Let's bust out some questions here in the last 7 minutes before I have yet another beer that I don't need. Oh, you're wide awake? Some people are wide awake. I would have to do an intermission and like take a 10-minute break if I talked any longer here. I gotta chill out for a minute. Worst Hall of Fame acceptance speech? I don't know, because a lot of times when I see a bad Hall of Fame acceptance speech, I skip it. So I don't know. Off the top of my head right now, I cannot think of one. That's a good question for a Q&A, because I can sit there and think about it and then come up with an answer on the fly. I'd have to rack my brain. Bob Backlund was kind of fucked up, wasn't he? Didn't Vince have to come out and pull him out? One of my favorites was Iron Sheik. I don't remember really what he said. I just remember the very ending of his induction. He kept saying, I would just like to say, over and over. And they kept trying to play his music, and he kept coming back to the mic. I would just like to say. And the crowd was laughing. He had everybody in fucking stitches. Hilarious. Favorite classic cartoon? I grew up a big He-Man fan. My sister was really into He-Man too. It was kind of because of her that I was into it. But we had a lot of the toys and shit around the house, I remember. But never collected like G.I. Joes or Star Wars shit or anything like that. But I remember the He-Man stuff and the He-Man cartoon. It's pretty lame too. It was such a It was like the Full House of cartoons. Everything had a fucking message behind it. It was so corny and hokey and stupid. Yeah, I'd do a collab with Deluxe, man, sure. No, I won't be standing in the bathroom for a while after all these beers. I have peed, I think, twice, though, in this commentary. Thundercats, that was a good one. I remember Thundercats. I remember them, too. I like the Transformers, that cartoon. I remember that. What the fuck else do I remember? I remember the early days. Oh, my God. I don't know if it was a cartoon. I just looked it up in the last few months, too, because I was curious about it. I had this, like, memory. Nickelodeon in its early days had some really creepy shows, and one of them was called Pinwheel. And I always remember watching it as a kid. And you look at it now from 2017 eyes, go on YouTube right now and type in Pinwheel Nickelodeon intro or something like that, and it'll show you the beginning of the show. It's very dark, and it looks like you're tripping on mushrooms. And I think that like looking back, that was always such a creepy fucking show, but it really wasn't a cartoon. And yeah, I would love to do a podcast with Solid Monster. He's always good to me as well. He's awesome. Voltron. 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 Yes. I like Voltron too. Those were like they were kind of like Transformers, but they formed one big thing, I think. I like them. Was never into well, actually, I wouldn't say it wasn't into them. Was never a crazy fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think I saw one of the movies, played one of the arcade games, but never had the toys. Was a little older by that point, so I really wasn't into the toys. But was never just a big fan of them. I don't know why. I like their look. The fucking WWE did the Toxic Turtles. How crazy is that they tried to knock off that? Yeah, some people remember Pinwheel. How fucking creepy is that show? I'm not wrong, right? It's fucking creepy. Creepy as hell. Oh, I don't know if I don't know if I necessarily wouldn't get along with the guy from OTRS. I don't have any problem with him. Don't watch him a lot, but unless he's some angry, crazy person, I can't imagine, like, I don't really care. It's cool. People have opposite opinions of me. I don't care. I'm not going to cause a fight over it. Yeah, see, Pinwheel was scary, man. Shit was just the fact that the kid shows that I watched, Garbage Pail Kids, I have those. You know what? I still have them. They're packed away. I'll pull them out for a video one of these days. I need to make a list of some crazy obscure shit that I have just to pull out. But I have a bunch of Garbage Pail Kids still to this day. And I finally, once I found them, I put them into sheets, like the albums, the booklets you can have for baseball cards, and put them all in there. I'll bust out my Garbage Pail Kids for you one of these days. I definitely need to go to Survivor Series next year in LA. It's right up the fucking road, man. Take me an hour and a half to get there. I could take the train. I could drive. Driving would be a pain in the ass, but I could just take the coaster right up there, and then just Uber from there or something. You sell them, Joe? You sell Garbage Pail Kids? Or you have like an eBay channel? Or eBay channel. eBay page or store, whatever the fuck it's called. Yeah, Garbage Pail Kids, man. Back in the day. OTRS is the reason you found my channel in 2011? He must have mentioned me then. But yeah, no, I don't have any issue with him at all. At all. Yeah, I'm still here. Some of you are like just tuning in now. I'm like about to sign off and you're like, oh, what's up? Yeah, I've been up for, what are we going on now? Like 3 hours and 4 times? We might go a few more minutes, but it's crazy. Yeah, I could do the pinwheel intro as into my commentaries, but that was crazy. I don't think I want to do that. Damn, Joe, I should show you my fucking baseball card collection, man. Hell, you're from Boston. All the fucking Roger Clemens rookies I have, and Mo Vaughn, and who the fuck else back in the day for Boston? Ortiz. I got a Derek Jeter like rookie card, SP. Fucking used to be worth a shitload of money. Don't know what it's worth now. But man, my baseball card collection was off the hook. My favorite baseball card ever, I have a few of them, is the Ken Griffey Jr. Upper Deck rookie, like 89. Card number 1 of the whole set. He's sitting there with the bat. Brand new rookie, 19 years old. Favorite card ever. That shit used to be worth like in the Beckett like $300. You can probably sell it for $35 now. It's fucking crazy. That fucking business took a dive. Cannot believe all the money I invested in that back in the 80s and 90s. Sorry, I'm just long pauses here. I'm just reading the comments. Yeah, MTV used to be great. I wish I could go back to those days. God, me more than anybody. I think I watched like when MTV first came out. They had like 6 videos, and 4 of them were Rod Stewart. Fucking crazy. All right, some people are signing off. Yeah, the baseball cards were something that I can't believe I got into that much, but man. Yeah, the 87 Topps, I had that complete set. That was the set with the McGuire rookie in it. And at the time, it was a set that was worth some money. Now you could buy that thing for $9, if that. Probably less. But I finally, the funny thing is, when I moved to California, I still had all of my trading cards, all of them. And I had these big giant like bins that you would buy at like Target or Walmart or whatever, just full of baseball cards, like commons, like complete sets and shit like that. And all my nicer stuff I had in like top loader cases and screw cases and albums and books, all my like nicer cards that were, at one time were worth something. So I'm trying to get rid of all these commons. So I start calling around baseball card stores, and they're like, we don't want, like, you can't give them to us. Finally, I found a guy that would take them, because I kept telling people, I'm like, I'm not even trying to sell them at this point. I'm just trying to get rid of them. So what the fuck do I do with them? Finally, one guy is like, I'll take them, because what I do is like when customers come in, especially if they have like a little kid, I'll tell them to pick a bunch of baseball cards out of the box and take them with them. It's like giveaways. So he goes, I'll take your commons. So I drove with a trunk full of just thousands of cards and just gave them to him. Just donated them to a baseball card shop, and he gave them away. They're fucking worthless. I mean, completely worthless, you know? So I pulled out all the good ones, you know, the rookie cards and the guys that had names and Hall of Famers and shit like that, pulled out all those, and the rest of them were just fucking bullshit, completely worthless, you know? couldn't sell them. Yeah, I used to do that too. I used to actually record. I used to put a VHS tape in sometimes when I would watch MTV and just record like 8 hours, like the whole day. And then I can go through there and find videos and stuff like that. I used to do that shit all the time when I was young. My most valuable wrestling item, I don't know what my most valuable is. Probably, I don't have anything too valuable. I've got some really obscure tapes. I've got a copy of Mind Games in your house, 1996, very rare tape. It goes for a couple $100. I've got a pre-show. Back in the day, they used to do SummerSlam, like countdown shows or whatever. And the one in 94, the year that it was Taker and Bret and Owen, they did like a kickoff show or something like that, or a pre-show on the USA Network, released a very limited amount of the VHS tapes, and I have a copy of that. That's worth a few bucks. But yeah, if I had a most valuable item, it would probably be an old WWF or NWA VHS tape. Other than that, it would be my wrestling belts or my Shawn plaque over here. Or, of course, the GoodMicWork t-shirt. It's got to be worth a few thousand at least, right? Yeah, back in the day, you guys had to, anybody else ever recorded shit on a cassette tape off the radio? I used to do that all the time. I remember staying up late one night with my friend on like a weekend, and we called the radio station and requested Paradise City by Guns N' Roses, and we stayed up all night. What's up, buddy? Stayed up all night waiting for the radio station to play it, and they finally did, and we played it on our cassette tape, and that's what you had to do back then. Yeah, what's going on, buddy? I didn't realize what was going on behind me. A lot of you guys saying the cats were up to some shit. Yeah, what's your favorite non-pay-per-view Coliseum video release title? They had some weird titles like Smack 'em Whack 'em. I have Smack 'em Whack 'em sealed. It's right down here. I can see it from where I am. But I have that tape, and I have a lot of those. Trying to think what else I have. I mean, I have all the other ones that they released. I have all the Hulkamanias back in when they transitioned away from Coliseum Video and went into like WWF Video, started doing it themselves. I have all of those, the Undertaker ones, the Kurt Angles, Triple H's, Austin's, Rock's, Mankind's. They did a bunch of them. Off the top of my head, I also have a lot of those best of WWF DVDs. Or I'm sorry, not DVDs, but VHS tapes. And man, I got so many pictures here. I wouldn't even know where to begin looking for those, but I've got pictures of those too, and I can pull them out. But the big clamshell VHS tapes, I collect a bunch of those. I got a lot of the best ofs. I got best of Saturday Night's Main Event, best of the Intercontinental title, best of the World Heavyweight title, all sorts of great shit. Like here, right here, for example. Oh, like I've got Saturday Night's Main Event right here. If you can, let me see if you can see this shit. So we got Saturday Night's Main Event here. Intercontinental title, Steamboat on the cover, which is pretty cool. Heavyweight title, Hogan on the cover. And about 20 more of these type of tapes. So, are you fucking kidding me? Did you guys see that? Hey! Get down, you little fucking asshole. Oh my god. This is a streaming moment for all to see. I gotta go over to the comments because you guys are gonna be laughing your asses off. What the fuck is this guy's problem? Tito, get down. Come on. Jesus, little fucker, man. Well, I'm glad they're entertaining you guys, little bastard. He just done knocked over my Royal Rumbles, man. Shit. Here come the comments of everybody watching the cat. Yeah, I will do a video. Thank you, Justin Smith. I will do a video, and I will showcase some of these tapes, because I have so many. I'd like to pull them out. I'll stack them up here, and I'll kind of show them to you one at a time. So that might be something fun to do. Yeah, he's more than thick. He's fat. They're both fat. The vet already warned me that he's like 2 pounds overweight, and I'm trying to... These comments are cracking me up. And I'm trying to manage his food, but somehow he's staying fat, so I don't know what his problem is. Yeah, I'm about to whoop his ass, boy. It's okay. I still love him. Now, if he takes a piss on one of these Coliseum videos, then there's going to be a problem. But otherwise, what can you do? Nice King of the Hill impression. God damn it, boy. You whacking off? The cat just got disqualified. Yep, he did. Motherfucker, man. I cannot believe that happened. Right at the end of the, well, shit, I've been 3:23. Let's go. Okay, it's official. This is official. We're going 3:30. We're going 3.5 hours, and that's it. So another 7 minutes, and then I'm done. Officially. Before one of these little bastards sets the condo on fire. Motherfucker. I can't believe that happened. Anyway, let's see if we got anything on Twitter to say. Anybody has anything to say? No, not really. I read some of those questions already. Okay, so Twitter doesn't have too much going on. Yeah, it's kind of late now. Shit. For those of you on the East Coast, it's nearly 3 o'clock in the morning. So let's get out of here. I can't wait to see what my audience is like now. Let me go over here and take a look. How many people are here? 128. It's still pretty good for this late at night. Especially for me talking about nothing. Because I'm not talking about anything. Or just rambling. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how many views I get on this thing and how you guys enjoy it. So I think any night that I'm home on Monday nights, I'm going to come up and do this. It's fun. Tito lives, but fucking barely. All right. Well, maybe I'm going to sign off earlier than I thought. I was going to go 7 minutes here, but I'm not seeing anything too worth chatting about right now. Invasion of the Body Slammers, I have that too. And Rampage 89, I have that as well. I'll bust out all of these. A lot of these I have sealed and shit. And now, he's trying to get out the screen door. He's just asking for an ass whooping. But yeah, I got all that stuff. You'd be amazed at the VHS tapes I have. That's the thing I'd have to do. I'd have to divide it up like VHS tape video, DVD video. So maybe I'll work on that. Should be pretty easy to do. Oh my god. I'm looking at the tape now, and now it looks like it's fucked up. Anyway, I think I would do a tape or a video just showcasing my VHS tapes. That might be fun. And then do one where it's a DVD. All right, 7 minutes max. I can do it. I can pull it off. I'm going to try to sign off like exactly at 3.5 hours here. So we got 4.5 minutes left to chat. Let's see if we got any last minute questions. That's kind of funny that happened, though, the way he knocked that shit over. Motherfucker. Before you go, I want to thank you for being here because we are so close in age. I have watched you for years and identify with you. You're an awesome dude, Greg. I love your channel. Thank you very much. Flaw6363. Any ideas, Zombie Fighter, any ideas what your next pay-per-view or DVD review, might be? Even a VHS review? No thoughts of it yet, but I have a whole list of ones I want to do. It's just a matter of me getting the time to do it. So I need to. Not sure quite yet what I want to do. I've had a lot of requests for the unreleased DVD. I have that. It's still sealed. Haven't even opened it yet. Ordered it from Amazon a few weeks ago. Need to check that out. Daniel Bryan had a DVD come out recently. So did Scott Hall. There's a lot of ones I'd like to do. I'd like to do Mankind as well. He's one of the ones on my hit list. I don't know what my favorite Attitude Era catchphrase is. I don't know. You want to go to wrestling school? You are 6'5". What style should I learn? Not an AJ Styles style. More of a Roman Reigns style, I would say. Be athletic, but don't be doing 450 splashes at the same time. Somewhere in between. Plus, if you've got the size, as long as you can move around, 6'5" is a gift. That's a gift. Make the best of it. Yes, I am a fan of The Office, but not a hardcore fan. I wish I would watch more of The Office, but I don't. But I do like its comedy and humor. Oh, I'm getting top 3s and top 5s and shit. It's too much. I'm not going to be able to think of that in 2.5 minutes. But these have got to be quick questions. Ones I can answer quickly. Justin Smith, did you buy the pay-per-views on VHS back in the day? or just record them, or you said you would just record them. Yes, I recorded every one. So all of my pay-per-views, some of them I would buy as well if I found a deal on them or something, but every pay-per-view I would order and I would record. And as a matter of fact, in my house, I had two VCRs. So my friend would split the cost of the pay-per-view with me, and he would bring a tape over. So we would both put a tape in each VCR, and I had them both rigged to the TV, and we would record 2 copies of it, and he would take a copy home with him. So that's how we did it back in the day. I was very resourceful. But all of my pay-per-views from the 80s and 90s, they all have the pre-shows. In the cases of the Attitude Era, they have the Sunday Night Heats. They have everything in the original form, including Over the Edge when Owen died. So all of that is in its pure, uncut, original form as it aired. And that's always been really, really important to me, because you would see later on in the VHS releases and the home video releases, you would get a lot of edits on the WWE Network. They edit shit out sometimes. And so the only time I really trusted it is when I recorded it myself, because I know that I'm recording it as it happened, with the original commentary, the original music, the original audio, the original everything. Because they've changed a lot over the years. So yeah, we are entering in our final minute here. So T-minus 50 seconds and counting, and I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. Thank you very much for joining me. It was a lot of fun tonight. 3.5 hours. That's a huge fucking amount of time. So I appreciate everybody hanging out, and there's still well over 100 of you in the chat room watching right now. So that's pretty awesome that you guys stuck with me all of this time, and it was a lot of fun. So I will be up here Wednesday night, maybe earlier on Wednesday if I can, with my normal episode 471 or whatever the fuck it is. I don't even know. With your Raw and SmackDown reviews, I'll give you your normal podcast episode, and we'll talk about tonight's so crappy Raw and whatever we see on SmackDown tomorrow night. So you guys take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for watching. It was a lot of fun. We'll do it again real soon. Good mic work. Greg Morgan signing off. Until next time, peace.